got it.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Automotive Podcast that's singing the blues in our Little Deuce Coupes.
On this episode of Throwin Wrenches,
Jimnys are sold out, but not in the USA.
Volvo has a museum. Who wants to go?
Not me. Lordstown Motors, you thought they were gone, but they still find a way onto this episode.
All of that and more on this episode of Throwin Wrenches.
No Shania. What's up with that?
Are you waiting for it now? Every time you hear the theme?
I mean, it was such a burst of surprise in episode 100 that I think the whole room stopped.
You know, it's good. Hopefully she's still doing well. I haven't seen her since her reboot about 2 years ago. So.
Yeah, no, I don't think things went too great for her.
No platinum singles?
I think she's doing just fine, though. I'm not too worried about her.
Probably.
Hey, all right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. And, of course, as I say at the beginning of every episode, if you want to get in contact with Daryl, I just send an email to info@throwinwrenches.com or put a review on iTunes if you heard around the world, or comment on Spotify. It's crazy. Spotify comments go directly to the artist. It's really cool. Also, new this week, Daryl, we're on YouTube.
Hey, how about that?
I put the feed on the YouTube and
whoa! Oh, that's super loud. The crowd went wild.
They went crazy.
Holy cow! No, honestly though, YouTube. Well, here's the thing: we started a YouTube channel. And then it's like everything. We start, we don't really finish it.
It's so hard because now I think YouTube Shorts are the thing. And I think you and I could do more YouTube Shorts, right?
Not to be confused with Gym Shorts.
Oh, no.
Which is a reference
Eating
nobody
teeth for
will
the
get.
Bulls. Yeah.
That's right. No, I do think that's fine. But YouTube, more and more people are rediscovering the YouTube because, hey, it's where real content lives.
Absolutely. If I want to watch a remodel in Paris, that's where I'm going to go, right?
Absolutely. So check it out. We are at the Throwin Wrenches podcast channel on YouTube. And every episode, right? We went through the archives?
Every episode except for the ones that YouTube has now said may have major copyright flaws.
Oh, no! That was legal downstairs.
I knew that might be an issue, but I didn't realize they're going to scrutinize us that hard. I don't remember YouTube creeping all over our stuff, but once I put our feed up there, they might have a problem with us. So enjoy us on YouTube while you can, because I doubt we're going to go back and scrub those old episodes. But I would like to know what the copyright infringements are.
Yeah, probably just background music.
Shania Twain.
It might be. It might be. I told you we shouldn't use famous people.
That'd be Wesley Willis. Everything was fine except for the one with Wesley Willis.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
just something we threw in ironically.
Exactly.
Oh, well.
Hey, do you know my co-host Daryl Scott?
Oh, boy.
Daryl Scott. You think you know him. It's all cars. Mm-hmm. But when he went to Europe, all I saw him on was riding trains. When did we get the guy to rent a car with a proper gearbox driving down the wrong side of the road? He's not the man I thought he was. He's Daryl Scott.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Is this clapping?
I think. I like that one.
That works better? Okay.
Yeah, coy giggles from the girls in the front row.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Well, for those of you who don't know my co-host, when he isn't exploring islands with active volcanoes in a Suzuki Jimny or ushering in the next generation of autocross race drivers, he can be found doing some real challenging stuff. Running an automotive dealer's service department. Oh. Should all three of those activities require a flame suit? Probably. He's the always spicy, yet always safe, Eric Stahl.
Yours was very complimentary. Mine was derogatory. I'm not a nice person.
What are you talking about?
I'm not a nice person.
When did I say not?
No, you're very nice.
You're extrapolating. You're paraphrasing.
I'm guilting myself.
You're out of order. Yeah. This whole court is out of order.
You know who's not out of order?
Who's that?
Fort's Toyota Pekin. Have you heard of him, Daryl?
I have.
Fort's Toyota has been sponsoring the show for a long, long time, and there's good reason for it. They are an awesome new and used car dealership in North Pekin, Illinois. You can find them on the web at www.toyota-pekin.com. There you'll find their inventory of new and used Toyotas and every other kind of car that they have on the lot. They also have a link to their Instagram site and their Facebook site, and you can see Eric Stahl walking all over, pitching and slinging Camrys and Tacomas now in our YouTube videos.
Influencer.
Yeah. Have you seen that Camry video I did?
No, not the Camry one.
Oh, boy.
Is it? What's wrong?
It was hard. It's a lot of stress.
It's hard being a star?
You know what's funny? I can do this show, and we can talk and talk and talk, but the minute you put me on camera to talk like an expert,
yeah,
I don't even listen to these shows, get too critical, but those videos, drive me nuts.
You like the theater of the mind, the old school.
I think so. I want to be in your ears, but I don't want to be in your eyes.
Moving pictures, talkies. Someday you'll be on a talkie, Eric.
I'm not made for the talkies.
Anyway. Buy a Toyota Camry. You need a 1920s jingle.
I like that. That's pretty good. We'll do like a antique film distress look.
Put a filter on it.
The reason you find me talking at Fort's Toyota about new cars is because I'm a service manager. That makes sense, right? Not really, but I have been at Fort's Toyota since 1996. I'm not going to toot my own horn, so I know a lot of people, and I know a lot about Toyotas. So it is a great place to work. It's a great place to talk about Toyotas, and it's a great place to bring up the next generation of automotive technicians and automotive aficionados. So we're going to get into that a little bit more later in the show. So Thanks again to Fort's for being a supporter of the show. We truly appreciate their support.
Absolutely. As we're doing some thank yous are in order here, our Patreon supporters have been around for quite a while. We actually do have some longevity in the Patreon department. So you know who you are. You got a pre-show, which was filled with, I don't know, everything from Beach Boys music to travel
YouTube
recaps.
would scrub that.
Yeah, YouTube will probably get rid of most of it. But anyways, we do appreciate our Patreon family of supporters, and we will probably be dropping a swag bag your way here shortly because it's been a while.
Been a while.
Thank you.
You do that on purpose. You got to let me know.
I might. So we'd also like to say thanks to any new members who've joined the ranks. We haven't got to yet, but you know who you are, and we will actually be in touch here shortly with a gift your way.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so for the first section of the show, we talk about projects. And, man, I tell you what, I didn't put a lot of news in this episode because I figured you and I could both talk about our trips a lot. But then I went autocrossing last week, so I could just heap even more on there.
Yeah.
My God, man, how much stuff do I got? That's why we
You're
should do
not
a show
bored.
every 3 days. Every 3 days we should do a show just talking about us, Daryl.
We could.
It's enough.
Do you think people would listen?
Well, if they want to hear about healthcare, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. No, that's no fun.
Anyway, so the project section of the show, the first thing I'd put on there, I bought a panel from rustbuster.com because my frame is cracked on this chainsaw truck.
Little Mule?
Yes, Little Mule.
1996 Toyota Tacoma for folks who are just new to the
thank you,
the
Daryl.
show.
It's my little manual, regular cab, 4-cylinder pickup truck. It's a beat-up little beast.
A real truck.
Yeah. The passenger side, when I bought it, already had some welded panels by the rear leaf spring shackle, the front leaf spring shackle on the rear of the vehicle. And
does it just it cracked or rusted off the frame?
It cracked.
Okay.
So the shackle's still there, but right above it, it's cracked. And so the truck, you can see like a half centimeter or half-inch difference in kind of the way it sits. I'd heard some popping when I was going. I'm like, something doesn't sound right. I got down, looked. I'm like, ugh.
Dun, dun.
But rustbuster.com, you can buy any panel you want, and it's for Chevy trucks, Ford trucks, Toyota trucks. You just look up the panel you want. You cut out the sections bad. They're weld-over panels, so I'm going to get some weldable paint.
Yeah.
And after we clean it up and cut out the bad parts, and then it comes with its own leaf spring shackle already built into this new segment.
Awesome.
And so we're going to do that in the store here. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to take some pictures of it. You know, the truck is not a perfect truck. And so many people have older trucks that they love, and there's no reason to cast them aside if it's just literally a farm truck like mine.
Sure.
So spending $200 on a panel like this, perfect.
Saves the vehicle.
Absolutely. If I can get another 5 years out of the truck, you know what? I'm not asking to go on the interstate. I'm not talking about taking it to the top of the Rocky Mountains. I'm talking about just driving around the yard, putting logs in the back, toting my chainsaw around. That's all it needs to do. So,
as Derek from Vice Grip Garage says, a good going to town rig.
Yeah, and that's my favorite thing on the Saturday, throwing a couple gas cans in the back, going to Casey's. Yep. The cup holders can't even hold the Casey's cups because they're so obsolete.
They're early cup holders.
Exactly.
Back when man did not consume 72 ounces of soda.
And when Toyota conceived that a cup holder should be up on the top of the dash, so when you hit a bump, all your soda shoots out your can and hits the windshield, right?
Why was that a thing?
I don't know.
Volkswagen, GM, trucks, Chevy trucks in the early 90s did that. I'm like, what? You hit one bump, you take one turn, and that super big gulp. Even back then,
I think it's the width of the cars, because I think back to like Angela's Golf and my first Tacoma and some of our small cars. We were always small car people.
Yeah.
There was no room with the e-brake lever in the middle of a lot of those cars where you're going to put a cup holder.
Yeah.
So we would buy those $1.99 ones you'd stick on the window.
Stick on the side of the on your door.
And then if you're doing the crank windows, you're like hitting it too. So it was a no-win. But
thank goodness modern engineering has solved that problem.
Exactly. So anyway, that's enough about that. Little Mule is going to be getting some work, so I'll be taking some pictures of that.
Well, good.
Both the Celicas are out enjoying the sun, and my son's driving the green one up in college. Angela's driving the black one, so that's all good. And didn't make Cars and Coffee in June. You weren't there either.
No. Unfortunately, we had a commitment. But what about July? You going to make July?
Hard to say.
It's
it's right after the 4th.
Is it the 5th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to be back in town, so this should be good. I'm going to Salt Lake for the Land Cruiser Museum in another week or so.
That's going to be a blast, dude.
Yeah, it should be great.
You're going to enjoy that.
Yeah, just another trip,
Just add it to my roster.
Eric's once-a-month vacation trips, but this is work-related. Anyway, so yeah, Cars and Coffee, we'll try that for the first week in July. We love Cars and Coffee, guys. Check out those episodes. So getting to the meat and potatoes, we had autocross last weekend.
Yeah.
And I
Mossville?
think... Mossville. Okay. I may have alluded to this, but we'd gotten a Tacoma at the dealership. How much did I share? I don't even remember.
You talked about the truck when you took it in, and just to recap, it's a Tacoma pre-runner?
Yeah, no. So
what is it?
It's a 2005 Tacoma X-Runner. And the X-Runner was a particular model that had a 6-speed manual transmission with the 4-liter V6, but it was two-wheel drive.
Lowered, right? It's
not lowered. It had some ground effects. God, if it's lowered... I don't know where they did it at. I should probably look that up. See, they had low pro tires. Okay. They had a wide body kit, and it was a fiberglass wide body kit. It wasn't even plastic at the time.
All factory?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was all factory. And blue and red and black, I think, were some of the option colors on those. Weren't super popular. I mean, for one, it's a two-wheel drive truck. Central Illinois, we didn't sell a lot of two-wheel drive trucks.
Yeah. That
2005 that we had, I didn't even think about it until I actually was getting out to autocross with it. It has no traction control. It has no skid control. I don't even know if it has ABS.
Interesting.
Yeah. So when I got out on the track with it, I guess I'll save that for a second. But it had nothing. So we got this truck. It came on the lot. Short thumbnail sketch. Truck shows up. Bought it new at Fort's in 2005. Guy Kenny, who lived in North Pekin, gave it to his kids over the years, and they just beat the hell out of it. It was missing the tailgate. It was missing the front bumper. It was missing the grill. It was missing the passenger mirror. The windshield was crashed. Oh, by the way, the clutch was completely spent on this thing.
Something like that. Something looks like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I remember seeing like one or two of these back in the day.
That's what it should have looked like. Anyway, and every ground effect was ripped off it except for like one. So I said something to Pat Ford. And I tell you what, the Forts are the most generous people in the world. I said to Pat, listen, we got a pre-runner sitting out here. We sold it new. Needs a clutch. I said, this truck could be a ton of fun. He goes, $500, get it. Okay.
Nice.
Well, so I give the guy $500, but I'm going to race it. And STCA is not just something you can just show up to with a garbage car, right?
Yeah.
It has to meet tech check.
You got to pass inspection.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I had to get a clutch in it first. And did it all right. The flywheel was spent, so we had to get a new flywheel for it. The brakes were pretty rough.
Yeah.
So we did factory parts on that. And then needed a front bumper. Got that on eBay for $100, which is, I'm telling you what, man.
No kidding?
These eBay bumpers on these new cars,
yeah,
they come folded up in like a box. It's like as small as my camera bag.
It's like one of those foam mattresses. You open the box.
Honest to God. And the instructions say set it out in the sun for 2 hours. And you do that, and it damn near, you can't see anything. You can't see any imperfection in that. It's crazy. I did this on Aiden's friend Xing Chen's Camry, and now I've done it on this Tacoma. Got these cheap $100 bumpers.
Yeah, yeah.
All the fasteners are right where they need to be.
No kidding.
And you can't tell. Now, the plastic may be paper thin, but realistically, it's a front bumper. If you hit a deer and explodes, who cares? You're out $100.
Did you get it painted? Does it take paint?
It will.
Okay.
On hers, I did primer and white paint from O'Reilly's.
Yeah. It looks fine.
It didn't look very bad, yeah. So anyway, I got the cheap bumper, got the cheap grill, got a mirror on eBay for $60, got tail lights for $60. Sent my driver over to Indianapolis to pick up a tailgate off Facebook Marketplace for $200 in red.
Nice.
And at that point, had the detail department kind of clean it out because it was kind of funky. And we got new tires, Proxys rate
Toyos or whatever.
Toyo Proxys, and they're 200 tread race tires.
Okay.
And I registered for autocross last weekend. And I'm going to tell you what, man, I think there's been a truck before out there, but I don't think any truck has gotten as much attention. I had so many people. I got a round of applause at the end of the day just from everybody who just loved it.
No kidding.
But I worked my butt off all day. And my son, it was his first autocross ever. And I got to be honest with you, I'm really proud of Aiden for doing it. I don't know why he was motivated to do it. He loves rallycross. We've done some rallycross in Wisconsin, driving the cars across the countryside. But he wanted to do autocross. And anybody who knows me and knows the family knows that Summer, my daughter, did it. And he knows, we love doing it. So I think he wanted to get a taste of it. So
Sure.
so he had a great time and brought a couple of my technicians out there, 2 guys, and they did phenomenal in the Supra and the FRS.
And they're racing what, a 2020 Supra?
GR, it's a 22, and I think that's the first year.
I can't remember.
I don't remember. It's a GR Supra, and it's automatic, but fun car. And Ryder, one of our detail kids, he drove the FRS first day, he drove the Supra the second day. I watched his hand movements on the YouTube or on the GoPro videos. Phenomenal. He did really great. So
Nice.
I was really proud of him. And then Evan, one of my other technicians, he came out there and drove the Supra with Aiden first day. I love even if I could just plant the bug in him. The dealership paid for their dues to get in there. It was $37 for one day or whatever for one guy.
Yeah, it's
no
not
big
much.
deal. And I paid for Aiden's, obviously. But I just love getting those kids out there. And, even with the amount of organization we do, and I talk about this stuff all the time, whether it's 4x4 events or it's autocross, I spend more time worrying about the logistics, getting them lunch, making sure they get there on time, make sure the cars are ready to go. I'm doing all this stuff the whole time, just trying to make sure everything's running perfectly. In the meantime, I'm going to race too. And so normally I would just hop in one of the cars that they're with. But this year we had this Tacoma, and I'm like, oh, Eric, you have a Supra you could drive. Eric, you have a supercharged FRS you could drive.
Yeah, but you've been there, done that.
I get that. But at the same time, and is it about winning or is it about having fun? And for me, this was about having fun. I do enjoy getting a trophy. Believe me, at the end of the day, when I didn't get a trophy, I was like,
kind of bummed.
Yeah, it kind of sucks. But
bit.
at the same time,
okay.
I had a blast. I had a ride. So this truck, like I said, doesn't have any electronic features. It's not trying to grab the road. It's not trying to hold traction anywhere. It is just old-fashioned driving.
Yeah.
The passenger rear wheel was just smoking all day because that's where all the power is going. It doesn't have any kind of control of the differential. It's just an open diff. And at the end of the day, I'm standing next to Jacob and Matt, 2 autocross guys I've known for years now since I started this with Central Illinois region. And one of them, Jacob's in a Honda Civic, and he's in the same class as me. It makes no sense. He's front-wheel drive. It's a small car.
I was going to ask, what class did they
put
you
me in H Street. I don't know why. Jason Daly decided that. And I'm not complaining about it. I didn't understand.
It's just different.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. Because here I am trying to go through hairpins, and literally I could do a 3-point turn in these turns. It was so tight. I had to nearly come to zero and then kick it back into full gear.
Is the truck an extended cab or a regular cab?
Yeah, it's an extended cab.
So it's a
little
bit of
it's
wheelbase.
like 5 feet longer than the Supra. Yeah. That's what kills me. I'm going into these turns, and I'm telling you, the thing I loved about the truck, because it's so long, I'm turning before. How do you say the term? You're like turning before the cone. You're actually like moving the vehicle in a way. It's almost like in water.
Kind of like tossing it.
Yeah. And so that was a ton of fun. But anyway, getting back to Jacob, I'm standing there talking to Jacob and Matt, and Jacob's like 2 seconds ahead of me. I'm like, man, I'm just trying to get past. I'm down like 50.7. I'm like 50, almost 51 seconds, just trying to get below 50 seconds. I've been trying this all day. I don't know what I do. And Jacob, I've known for a long time, looks at me and goes, dude, you're driving a truck. Calm down.
Yeah. I think you're doing fine.
I pulled up to the start, and the kid who's telling everybody where to go, they tell you, it's like sectioned off. The guy in the paddock tells you to move up to this next guy with a flag, and then you go to the next guy at the start. So the second kid who is telling me to move up to the start flag goes, man, I'm so happy you brought a truck. It's just so cool you're out here with a truck. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, man, that's awesome. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So the next time I come up, I'm up there, I go, man, the truck's not doing too good today. He goes, you're still 5 seconds better than me.
See? That's actually impressive.
I started laughing. I'm like, okay, here I am complaining, that I just can't get any more juice out of this truck.
And you're actually still doing,
Yeah.
you're maintaining your competitive edge.
Yeah, I was probably probably 2/3 back in the pack because the truck just. First off, I could lower it. We could put coilovers on it. We can lower the rear suspension probably a little bit. Mm-hmm. Could probably lower the air pressure a lot.
Yeah,
there's a couple things we could do. We could lock that rear differential too.
Put a locker in it and might actually help it.
Yeah. So there's things we can do, but so much fun. So glad I did it. Now the question is, what do we do with the truck? So I think maybe we'll do a little more modification. But I don't know if anybody else wants to drive it like me. So it'll be interesting to see if anybody else volunteers.
Yeah, what's fun is it reminds people, getting stuff like that out there reminds people of what Toyota is all about, right? Which is making things that are fun. In this day and age, the fact that they still have the Supra, the fact that they still have cars like the GR Corolla, which you can walk in and be like, yeah, give me a 300 or 400 horsepower all-wheel drive 6-speed car. I can go to work, but then I can just like
with a differential proportioning valve that I can do I want 70% power in the back or
I give Toyota a lot of credit in the day and age where everything's cookie cutter and just like it is what it is. You can't special order stuff. Like they're putting some stuff out there that's still fun to drive.
Yeah.
And I appreciate what Forts does too is they showcase that. And also the history and the legacy of it. I would love to have seen that thing on the autocross course, but I also saw you've got some videos. Is it on your Forts page?
Yeah, some of them are on the Forts page. I need to share them. My wife took one of me going all the way around the track.
Okay,
and it was pretty good actually.
Yeah,
the new iPhones are crazy. I mean, 4-5 years. Even when I first started autocross, if you held up a GoPro, footage is garbage.
It's terrible. Yeah. You look at it, you're like, yeah, that was good for the time.
Yeah, you're putting out 4K video out of your phone, right?
Let me ask Aiden, never autocrossed on a course with you down here, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Or at all?
Never he's rallycross, which is an entirely different
Totally
thing.
different.
That's time speed rallies, yeah.
So so his first foray is in a Supra.
Yeah.
A GR Supra.
Yeah, how spoiled is that?
I think that's a good lesson, though.
Yeah.
He did okay.
Yeah. Didn't wipe out, didn't spin out. So great control on his part because the rider who drove the FRS the day before, and I told Ryder this, I said, with the FRS and even any old cheap four-cylinder car and even that Tacoma, it's on, off, because you're just smash, let off.
Could have done to make enough power to get out of control.
Exactly.
Okay.
Whereas a Supra, you can't smash. You can't Hulk smash that thing because if you do, you'll be going sideways.
Yeah,
so,
there's a threshold where all of a sudden it builds boost and then it changes.
Exactly. All of a sudden
Everything
the car
changes.
says, "Oh, you're not going to go straight anymore because the back end doesn't hold the ground." Yeah. So
well, it's interesting for him too because he doesn't have that like his daily driver isn't like turbocharged or anything.
No,
like
he drives a Prius, but he drives a Celica, and I'm sure he drives it more aggressively than he should, but it's nothing like that.
It's a different experience entirely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that was fun. So had a great time. And again, like you said, the Forts support local racing, support Cars and Coffee, support things like SCCA. And I honest to God, I want to do like a Facebook post at the dealership. I want to call out every other dealership in Peoria and be like, where are you? Every dealer, everybody in the car business right now is complaining they can't get technicians.
Yeah.
Why can't we get kids interested in the hobby? Why can't we get people to turn wrenches? Well, you're not involved. You're not making it fun. You're not involved with the hobby. Why would they want to do anything? If the job is literally to punch in every day, turn wrenches, and then get out of there. Oh, by the way, you can't work on your car in the shop. We're not doing any extracurricular stuff. We don't support the industry. Why would they want to work there?
Yeah. There's no pipeline. And that's the thing. It's who would you rather have as a customer, even if you take all the automotive stuff and the racing and stuff off the table? As a customer, who would you rather have working on your car? Somebody who has been there, done that, understands the limitations, what you can do with that vehicle, whether it's an off-road truck, whether it's a daily driver Camry, or like a fun car like a Supra. Or would you rather have someone who's like, I clock in, it's my job, it's 9 to 5, it's work.
Yeah. And that's cool. I can respect that. I got guys who'd rather hunt than they'd rather work on cars.
Sure.
I completely understand that.
Sure.
But if I'm Jim Shear, if I'm Gary Uftring, if I'm these big wigs in Peoria, I'll call you out. I don't care.
Yeah.
If you're a Miata dealer, I don't know why you're not out at Cars and Coffee or Autocross, because a Miata is a pretty damn popular car. If I'm Gary Uftring and I'm the Corvette king of Central Illinois,
or the Mustang guy,
yeah, exactly. You should be out there representing, and it's. I think it's a tell on who really loves the car business and who's just in it for business, right?
Yeah. Yeah, if I wasn't selling Fords, I'd be out selling, I don't know.
Golf carts.
Right, exactly. Personalized golf carts. No, it's a testament, too, because realistically, it's fostering that next generation. And we hear that in so many industries, not just the auto industry, but, all these industries. It's like, well, what's it going to look like in 10 years? If you're not planting your flag and offering that pipeline, that pathway for customers and employees, technicians, people in the trades, you hear that too. What are we going to do? There's going to be a shortage X, years down the road. If you're not out there involved in the community, sponsoring events, sending people out there to rep your stuff, and actually supporting it with your, it's words and actions. I appreciate what Forts is doing for that, and I appreciate the fact that you have employees that are willing to be like, yeah, I'll give it a go, because that's also a way to experience. Here's the end result. Like, I finally tuned a car. This is as good as it can go. It's super safe. Now I'm going to push it to its limits and enjoy everything that it has to offer.
Yeah,
and that's a lot more fun than just using it to go from point A to point B.
So now the talk is to take a couple kids to Southern Cruiser Crawl this year. We haven't done that in a while. So, I mean...
Have you done it previously?
Years ago, when we had a different crew, and just it's funny. Time regurgitates, and you just get new people, and so it's just time to start getting some more people involved with different stuff. And how much fun is it when you get, hey, let's air down, let's get these tires, let's do this suspension, and next thing you know, they're out practicing and playing with the truck, right?
Why do we need to disconnect the sway bars? Well, here,
yeah, exactly.
on this course, you have to.
Yeah,
all that stuff. Awesome,
so I could talk it all day, and I know some people have said, even in the comments at the Christmas show, they wish I'd talk more autocross. I really, really enjoyed this, and I was so glad. It was my first time back. I would have been there last year, but just was the worst. They picked the worst weekend. I was out of town. So anyway,
what's next for the Central Illinois region?
So I'm on the committee, the Central Committee with them, and we're trying for October to do another one. We did have somebody go through the fence.
I had heard there might have been a
just
Corvette-like vehicle, maybe. It's fine.
Yeah, I don't even know who. I mean, Jason Daly and myself and a couple people were talking about it, and I don't think I'm saying anything that's going to get us in trouble. But there's a worry when you plan the course that it's too fast. There's a break in the pavement between two parking lots. Is that a good spot? We've used this for years, and we know some people go too fast. So if it's Pekin Airport, some guy with a Mustang goes into a hangar.
Yeah,
we use insurance. Yeah. Here we had a Corvette get out of control, and he went through the fence. Fortunately, it was a chain link fence. He destroyed his own car.
Nobody got hurt, though. Okay, good. That's all that matters. And you can deal with the rest is just logistics.
Yeah, but realistically, I mean, these are the kind of concerns when you're running local motorsports. Will Caterpillar have us back on their parking lot? We have to be good neighbors, and we're going to fix everything. Last time something like this happened, we paid like $2,500. We're thinking they might do this for $5,000 this time. So that might come out of the coffers of the club. I don't know if it's going against insurance. So, I mean, this is the kind of stuff we have to worry about. So the next meeting, I'm sure, will be very entertaining.
Yeah.
But these guys don't do it for profit. We have the money in the bank. We're going to do whatever we have to keep doing events like this. But we need everybody to always be respectful. Just like Cars and Coffee, you're only as good as your weakest link of the people who shows up, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, good. I'm glad that Aiden got a taste of it, and hopefully, it's an interest that continues. So.
Can I talk about Iceland? Do I have enough time? How late are we into this?
I don't know. What's our timer? Yeah, sure.
Okay, all right, real quick. I went to Iceland, but I rented a car.
Oh, by the way,
so cool. Yeah. Anyway.
By the way,
I went to Iceland because Toyota paid for it. Here's another thing, kids. When people say, "Oh, I don't want your job. Oh, I don't want to do what you do."
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, well then you won't win a trip to Iceland for service managers because you don't want to play the game hard and compete. And that's Toyota had some competition. It was about keeping technicians certified, CSI, making sure customers satisfied, and selling wiper blades or something like whatever it was.
So the most wiper blades in the Midwest.
No, I think actually
Iceland.
It was about some growth. Is how much customer growth have you had, and so we've done pretty well at Forts over the last couple of years. So I go to Iceland, and of course, if I go take the Toyota trip by the book, they'll pick you up at the airport, they'll take you to the hotel in Reykjavik, and we'll do all the nice stuff that they're going to do with Toyota people. But if you get there a day-ish early, like I did, and you rent a car at the airport, you can kind of do whatever you want for a couple of days, right?
Yeah.
So Eric Stahl, what's he do? He gets on Expedia.com, and he looks up a GMC Jimny at the airport, and $27 a day. That's pretty cheap. But I didn't realize it's a 3-cylinder car with no guts, and it only holds 2 people. I really didn't understand how small a GMC Jimny was.
Or Suzuki Jimny.
Suzuki.
Because I did the same thing. I kept calling
Suzuki
it
GMC.
I call it Jimny. No, you're fine.
Jimny. Yeah. It's a Jimny.
It's confusing.
That's probably why it's called a Jimny. Yeah, because of GMC Jimny.
Yeah, they probably sued him or something.
Okay, Suzuki Jimny. My bad. Believe me, I've been thinking about samurais all day, so I know what it is.
But for folks here in the States, we don't have that. So the reference is like, you remember the Samurai?
Or the Geo Tracker.
Yeah. Exactly.
Very similar, but it's more squared off. It's a hard body, like a little square Jeep.
Take a Jeep and put it like in a shrink ray. Make it smaller. And what? You said 3-cylinder?
3 cylinders, 2 seats, and I get to the counter in Reykjavik, and I'm like, all right, I'm here to pick up a rental car.
Yeah.
if you ever want to talk about gravel insurance and the scam that is, we can make a whole show of that. I'm not going to get into that whole thing. But anyway, I paid for the gravel insurance. I don't even know how much it costs because I haven't looked at my credit card statement. But it's a whole thing.
All right.
It's a scam. It's a total scam.
Okay.
Anyway, I asked for my GMC Jimny. The kid, he's just the nicest guy. And he was a great representation of Icelanders dealing with American tourists. He's like, oh, Jimny, are you sure you want the Jimny? And I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't I want the Jimny? He goes, it's very small. Nobody wants a Jimny. I'm like, no, I want the Jimny. He goes, it's got a manual transmission. I'm talking like a little French.
Right. That's fine. We get
it's
what
got
you're
a
saying.
manual transmission. I'm like, I know. I'm good with that. And
I want all of those.
I want everything about that. And no back seat. I'm like, I don't care. And we walk out to the... Angela has no idea. Now, to be fair, my wife doesn't know a GMC Jimny from a Sequoia, right? I mean, she doesn't know. So
you're like, oh, we rented a car. Cool.
Yeah. So we get out to it, and it's just this little tiny Jeep thing. I think the tires are 14-inch. You know, they were like snow tires, all-terrain snow tires.
And what's the MSRP on this is what, like 12 grand over there?
Maybe over there. Yeah. And you can't get them here in the States. You can get them. You can get them through Gray Market. But anyway,
they're cute little things. Google Suzuki Jimny. I think it's like Jimny. It's spelled funny.
Yeah.
Cutest little thing in the world. And I kind of wish that I was half my size and we had those here.
Manual crank windows. Everything analog, got a manual transmission. The seats don't recline because I don't know. They have a cage in the back. I think they do that so you can't like put people back there or something.
Like a little roll bar thing?
Yeah, but it's like a full blown like it's almost like a Suzuki or not Suzuki. Subaru owners, they always have their dog cages in the back.
Oh yeah, right.
So it's almost like the Jimny have like a built-in dog cage in the back. And it's all metal back there. There's nothing. I mean, there's no insulation or anything like that. So we put our wet shoes back there. I put my wet socks hanging from the grid back there, and it's
actually using it as a utility.
It was very utilitarian. I love that truck, and so we drove it all over Iceland. I did 900 kilometers in like 4 days with it.
Wow,
tore it up.
How did it ride? Was it really like a paint shaker? Was it pretty rough?
It wasn't that bad actually. No, suspension. I mean, fat tires. A little bit of an off-road suspension.
Okay.
Everything did pretty good on it. Now, I will tell you this, and this is, I've been saving this story. I told it to a few people, but it's a 4-wheel drive, and it's a manual gearbox. So we went out one day, our last day. We had like 2 or 3 hours before we had to get to the airport. So I followed this, it's called F-Road or something like that, out to the beach. There's plenty of tracks going out to the beach, so I followed the tracks with other cars. By the time I was getting out, where you could see the surf, I was kind of like floating on a cloud. I'm like, man, I'm not getting a whole lot of traction. It was like, and just like
it changed.
Yeah, the cars revving up the RPMs, but I'm only doing like an inch per hour here. I'm just like really. I'm like, all right, I'll stop it right here. So
and what's the beach made of? Is it lava?
It's black sand. Yeah, It's just all black sand. The surf is just crashing. It's a beautiful day. It's sunny, and we're on the south side of the island, just south of Reykjavik, and out by a lighthouse, and. I'm like, okay, this is cool. Take some pictures. And Angela's already yelled at me. She's like, we're out here too far.
She could tell.
Yeah, I think so.
Something doesn't seem right.
So I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Once we got back in the car, because she's yelled at me, she's actually made the whole situation was very uncomfortable at that point because I could tell she was annoyed that maybe I'd gone too far. I'd just gone maybe that extra 50 yards too far. And I've been out
enough.
Years ago, we went out in Oregon. You can go out on the beach. You can drive on the beach a distance.
Okay.
And we took our Nissan Altima like a little bit too far, but I got out. But in the meantime...
Another fine all-wheel drive... Oh, wait. No,
that one was
It's not at all.
But there were other people who were stuck on the beach. So thank God I wasn't one of those people. And, so I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put it in low 4. And low 4 will be fine. I'll put it in reverse because it just seems like you get a little more juice in reverse sometimes. Mm-hmm. So low 4, reverse. And I was just about to drop an F-bomb there. I cranked that sucker up. I'm just whining. It's hovering at like 6,000 RPM. Like,
you digging a hole?
It's just moving at literally the same speed I got in there, like an inch. I'm like, oh, man. And Angela goes, we're going to get stuck. We're going to get stuck. And I'm looking at her. It's like keeping every bit of composure like tucked in. I'm like, oh, no, if we're going to get stuck, I could air down. And that's just what I said to her. I'm like,
keep that in your back pocket. Well, I could always air down. Also, if we were going to get stuck, we would have gotten stuck already, and which means we are stuck.
And there was nobody out there, dude. We were all by ourselves.
Yeah, what would you do?
I don't know. I don't know what
country. You had cell service.
I would have been digging like lava rocks like from 100 yards away and like throwing everything under my wheels.
Put floor mats. Well, you don't have floor mats. It's too cheap to have floor mats. You'd be taking your clothes off and throwing them as traction.
So oh God, wow. I just was cranking it in low floor. I'm like, I don't think this is really working, so I put it back in high floor, and then I went forward, and we just made it out of there. I'm like, oh, thank God, because literally we were 2 hours from having to be at the airport before we had to take off.
So this was like a last minute jaunt.
Yeah,
you would have. Yeah. So I'm okay. Looking at the picture, there's the cage.
Yes,
looks like a police vehicle or something.
Exactly.
That's so you don't put people back there.
I think that's what that's for.
That's all that is.
Yeah,
that's funny as heck.
Yeah. So we get to the airport at the last day, and I pull it up. And they check it all over for rock damage. But I paid for my gravel insurance so they could suck it. And
is it seriously gravel
damage
it's gravel
insurance? Yes, because there are a lot of gravel roads there, and a lot of people will spit up rocks. So you don't want to follow anybody too close there.
It's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
whatever.
And I told the guy, I'm like, hey, I love this car. So I take it home, and he looks at me and goes, really? The Jimny? I'm like, yeah, man.
Absolutely.
This dude on my farm. And just driving to and from work, something like that. I don't know why Americans have lost all perspective on cars like this.
Well, I think you're slowly seeing the tide turn, right?
You think?
Yeah, because what did we want? Post-war?
What do we want?
Power windows. No, they want everything, right? Everybody wanted everything, all the options, all the bells and whistles. And then we got them, and they're like, hey, turns out, these are great for like the first 3 years.
Yeah.
And then they're not great. So I think like the Slate, which we talked about.
Yeah, I was just going to say the Slate.
The Ford Maverick.
Do they come with crank windows?
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
They were, I think, I don't know if they're anymore, but for a while they were still under $30,000 MSRP for the base.
Okay.
But it included crank windows and all that. And even to some extent, like the Jeep Wrangler folks, they're like, you can still get a Wrangler Sport for a pretty decent price. That doesn't have anything in it.
27 or something?
Yeah, it's not bad. But that's the thing is like we're still so spoiled that those don't. People buy them and like, yeah, I don't want this, and they get rid of them. The cheap Mavericks. There were a ton of them that came out at that $29 base price or whatever.
Well, but there's a lot of people I talk to who work for Ford say that Ford is kind of messed up. Because now they started doing premium packages on them.
The Tremor and the whatever.
And so they're losing track of the people who like those cars in the first place, right?
That appeals. It's that utilitarian, small, efficient, economical. Like, you could take something like this and drive it to work all week for probably, $12 in gas?
Way cheaper than my 4Runner, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So that's the thing. The brilliance of these is that for what you need it for, it's good enough.
Yeah.
Would you want to go across country with one of those?
No way.
Okay.
But I may, if I totally was just going to have the windows down, take back roads, because that's kind of what Iceland is. There's no interstate in Iceland. And the speed limit is 90 kilometers per hour everywhere. So it's literally taking back roads everywhere you go.
So this sounds like the ideal vehicle for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if I was driving from Tremont, and I wanted to, and just like when Angela did our little cruise with the Celica last summer and just drove up, did the antique shops, did the
Farnsworth.
Farnsworth House,
Yeah.
Edith Farnsworth House. You're not doing 70 miles an hour. You're doing 45, 55 the whole time, just cruising, windows down.
Sure.
A lot of times when we were driving that Jimny, had the windows down. It was great.
So I think what I'm taking away from this is that you and Angela need to find a 1987 Suzuki Samurai.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves when we get to Cars of the Week, Daryl.
Okay, all right. Fair enough.
All right, so that's the classic. Eric takes 20 minutes of the show with his section of all about him.
No.
All about me. Now, Daryl gets 5 minutes all about him.
And go. No, it's fine. I actually enjoyed it, and I'm glad you guys got away and got to see a part of the world you hadn't seen before. So
I highly recommend Iceland to anybody who wants to spend way too much on everything, but it is beautiful.
And good salmon, right?
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
And hot tubs, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly,
salmon in a hot tub.
If you ever want to do like a travel show, we could just do a travel show where Eric just looks at a map and tells you all the places he's been. I could tell you all the sweet spots to go, but that's only going to be interesting to me.
Not really. People like having good recommendations. So, no, I actually did a little bit of world traveling as well.
You did?
Yeah. Sarah and I met up with my brother-in-law and his husband over in Paris, and then we saw Paris. We went to Mulhouse, France. We went to Switzerland. back to the UK, and then took a little day trip to Berlin and then Wolfsburg to see the VW Autostadt Museum, which was fantastic. That is, any gearhead, if you want to find some place that where like you just feel like wow, like impact, historical everything. I mean, from like the Carl Benz, like whatever the early like 1897 Benz car was. There's one of those. There's like two of them.
First auto theft.
First auto theft? Was it them?
When is the first? Do you know the history on that?
No, the first time someone stole a car.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, you don't know this story?
No.
Oh,
Was it Benz?
Yes, it was a Benz. It was a Benz family member. First auto.
They boosted their own.
First stolen car. And AI Google says the first automobile theft is difficult to pinpoint with certainty, as records of early car ownership incidents, blah, blah. Bertha Benz is known to be the first significant unauthorized long-distance trip in an automobile, which occurred in 1888.
Well, that was his wife, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So there was, yes. Good. That's actually a pretty cool piece of trivia. Yeah.
I'd love to dig that one up and talk about that. Yeah, we'll have to do that some later.
Well, yeah. She just took it basically to kind
But
of
that
make
car
a point.
wasn't there.
Not that one, but
Okay.
there was one just like it. The really cool thing for me was actually seeing basically like the last version, the final prototype of the VW Beetle, which was like 1938. And that was there at the museum at the Autostadt. And then right next to it was the very last air-cooled Beetle, which all the gearheads know, like they made those down in South America and Mexico until 2004, 2003 or 4, something.
Is that? I thought it was later than that. Okay.
Yeah, and so here's the final prototype and then the very last one. And you look at them side by side and however many years that is, decades.
No split glass. That's about the difference, right?
Yeah, that's really like I'm looking at the body panels. I'm like, okay, like the real Beetle guys would be like, well, this is different. The body line's different. It's the same. It's the same car, and it was so cool to see. So that kind of stuff. They had an old, remember the Golf Synchros or the Golf Countries? It was a 4-wheel, all-wheel drive, basically an Audi Quattro all-wheel drive setup.
No. That
they crammed into a Volkswagen. We didn't see too many here.
Sounds like a Fiat Panda.
Yeah, it's like that, but it's like cars that you either read about or never really saw. There was stuff there.
That's cool.
They had, I mean, you name it, like early Porsche 911s.
But like a Wolfsburg edition, like Jetta.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I know. Like back in the day.
Yeah. Scirocco.
They did not have a Scirocco.
What?
I know. They should have. Doggone it.
Was there ever a Wolfsburg edition Scirocco, you think?
I think there probably was.
I'll Google it.
And they made that Scirocco like way later than I think they should have. But anyway, had a wonderful time there. And then we also did the Eurovision Song Contest, which was really the reason why we were there. But true to Daryl form, I had to sneak some car stuff in there. So the National Automobile Museum in Mulhouse, France, which is the largest collection of Bugatti automobiles in the world, which was absolutely phenomenal.
Your wife took tons and tons of pictures there, and as much as you might say she took too many, I don't think she took enough because I enjoyed. I loved watching the transition of the old cars, to the artistic cars,
like late 1800s, true like horseless carriages.
And I have no patience for those. I mean, if you go to like Wheels of Time, there's like, oh, this was like a fire engine from 1891. I'm like, I don't care. Exactly.
Eric's in the back and just like. When do we see the cool stuff?
Exactly.
Eric,
That's me.
Time out.
With my big sucker.
and short pants and suspenders.
Yeah.
No. You're not that old. No, but the fun part was we actually, the National Automobile Museum in France is nestled in the city we stayed at, which is Mulhouse, France, which is spelled Mulhouse, but don't pronounce it that way because they'll look at you. Phenomenal, and it's another one. If you're a gearhead and you appreciate early F1 cars, they had Ferraris, they had Gordinis, they had you name it. I mean Maseratis, all kinds of. They had a 1956 Mercedes 300 SL, which was like a Le Mans version of like the car. It's not the one, but like similar to the one Sterling Moss raced and won Le Mans in 55 or 6 with.
Cool.
Unfreaking believable. And we're, Sarah and I and everybody walking through, Phil and Archie and I are walking through this whole museum, and we're just like, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. I'm like adding up the value.
Yeah.
And just the F1 cars alone, probably like in the hundreds of millions of dollars just in that one little room. And I'm like, this whole building is full of it. Really cool stuff, and I could geek out about that as well for hours, but I'll share some photos with the post.
So there's an article in Hemmings about the Wolfsburg Wedge, 75 to 81 Sirocco.
Oh, okay.
Man, I tell you,
you like them?
Yeah.
They were kind of popular
what happened?
for their time. I don't know.
That was weird. All right.
Did it freak out your laptop?
It did freak out.
It doesn't like VWs.
It said, get that off my screen.
It says, we're not buying that.
No doubt. Oh,
No.
here it is. There it is. Anyway.
Yeah. So, the Siroccos, I'll tell you what.
Dude.
Those are slick cars.
That's a hot car.
Yeah.
That's a hot 80s car, which, actually, if it were a Chevy, it'd have some terrible, terrible alloy wheels on it, but Volkswagen did a pretty decent job. It looks like back
super
in the
clean
80s.
and actually good handlers. Those were they make a good autocross car.
Yeah, fun.
Anyways, so we got back. We were there for 2 weeks overseas. Came back, and I'll tell you what, travel's great. Still a good time to travel right now, at least for the time being. Only got asked about political stuff twice, and just kind of laughed it off. And then I said I was Dutch, and then I walked away. So it all worked out great. When I did get back home, though, I'm like, you know what, I haven't done anything with the cars here. So last Sunday, I fired up our 55 Plymouth Savoy sedan and drove over to my good friend Gabe's over in Morton, and we hit it off. We just had some fun, played some old video games in the garage. But I'll tell you what, it was one of those things. It was too hot. It's too damn hot.
Sounds very productive. Okay,
dude. It's like you know how it is.
Yeah.
All of a sudden in the Midwest here, it's like spring. It's nice,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then the next day it's 98 and 40.
Oh no, totally.
7,000 degrees. 98% humidity. No, so the 55 was great. That's when I love that car so much, and the longer we have that, I think I've had that 11 years now. No, 10 years. And it just, you hop in, you turn the key, you check the oil and all that, because it's old, because you want to make sure it's full.
Yeah.
It just does what you tell it to. You just drive it. Took Meadows Avenue, wound through the back roads. And it's nice to have, and you have that with your Celicas,
So
right?
when you cross the bridge, you're taking the 24 bridge?
Sometimes I'll take the McCluggage there.
Okay. I never know the name.
Yeah,
There's all these different. Peoria has like 5 bridges between North Pekin and North Peoria.
the William Kumpf, the Murray Baker, the McCluggage.
Yeah, I don't know any of these names.
Cedar Street?
They probably, you know what? I could probably have an Instagram post that would list all of them. And I could probably get 1 million views on that thing.
Yeah, and different answers, but
Yeah.
no, I'll tell you what. And the big thing for that one is just the car doesn't require anything from me, just maintenance, right? And I love having an old car like that. And some of the other stuff in our collection, I'm kind of at that point now where, especially after having some time away from it, and I come back to, I'm like, I really only come back to like 2 cars.
Really?
Yeah. And I hate saying that, but the gears in my head are turning. I'm like, what do I have all this crap
This is
for?
interesting because I know you have love for Bork.
Yeah.
Is Bork one of the 2?
Yeah. Because it doesn't require, it's like I put work into it and I just turn the key and drive it. It's not, I put work into it, and then every time I drive it, something else breaks. Mm-hmm. A lot of my other stuff is like that right now. Where it's like, why aren't you showing me the love?
Okay,
that
so
I show you?
I mean, right now it's June 17th.
Yeah.
Where are you at on the Cadillac?
I haven't touched it, dude. I have not touched. I've got tires.
Yeah.
I got tires in like March. So
And you turned it over?
yeah, it runs.
Does it runs on its own volition at this point?
It does. It still doesn't stop. So there's that.
Well, you turn the key off, it keeps running?
No, like brakes.
Oh,
I don't have brakes done. But now we'll get there. But honestly, I'm just what's gnawing at me, and some of this has to do with some family members that are aging and moving, to another chapter of their life and having to downsize and kind of come to grips with some of that stuff again. Is just like it's time, right? It's like I can enjoy a bunch of things, but what I really enjoy are like 3 things.
Oh, I get it. Totally.
But it sucks to admit that because it's like that to me it's like giving up, and I don't want to sell stuff. I don't want to, because none of my stuff's worth anything. It's not like I could sell it and make all this money and have one nice car. That's not it.
Yeah.
It's just, what am I doing? Could some younger person, talking about like the future, right? Could some younger person, hey, I'll make you a really good deal. You want an old cool car to work with and drive and enjoy? Go to Cars and Coffee and cruise around.
I don't think it works that way.
They don't, but they don't.
There's no mentorship in that. It'd be one thing if you were talking about a kid in your garage, say, hey, you want to come to my place and work on this car?
Right.
I'll help you with it.
Right.
You can't just hand that car off to somebody who has no knowledge whatsoever. And the problem is the knowledge on those kind of vehicles isn't stuff they can find on YouTube.
No.
And even if they pull out shop manuals, can they even understand the shop manuals? And then
Very
the difficulty of grabbing parts. It's not like I can call O'Reilly. So now I'm having to do the chase
and help
online.
them with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this is one of those things that has to be handheld.
I honestly, my friend Greg was just telling me this too. He's got a 49 Chrysler, runs, drives, shines up real nice. It's a beautiful car. Mm-hmm. He's like, I don't really need it anymore, and I want to give it to some younger kid who wants it. And I'm like, but to your point, it's not just, hey, here's an old car. It's you have to. It's almost like a mentorship. I think that's the way to frame it for me.
Yeah,
and that's how that hobby. Everyone always talks about
even your car club.
culture.
Your car club should do something like that.
I know, but we've just now in the last couple of years got invited to that ICC Power Days or whatever. Because previously it was like, well, there's no money in that. Nobody cares.
Even that's stinky though, because it's high school kids and only a quarter of them even want to be there and talk about cars. The other 75% are just happy to get the day off from school.
Right.
It's tough. It's really tough.
Finding that audience is probably the hardest part.
It is.
And then finding, again, that path to be like, we took care of these cars for 20 years. Now it's someone else's turn. How do you transition into that? So, yeah, to be determined. But I definitely, especially after time away in Europe, where people live within their means and they're a little more reasonable. Like no one in Europe has a barn full of 9 cars that they just have.
But the vintage sports car club in England, we watch them like hop through the cow pastures in Morgan's that we would spend $100,000 on here.
Probably.
Explain that to me.
I don't know, but I don't think they do. Like, that's the only one that they have, though. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just saying, perspective has changed. I'm getting old, Eric.
Yeah.
I need to get out of the game.
No, that's not true.
I need to take up Scrabble. I need to take up.
No, you need to make inspirational sayings out of Scrabble letters and like sell them at flea markets.
Live, laugh, love. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But no, that's what I got going on. And hopefully we'll make Cars and Coffee here in July and August and enjoy the rest of the summer.
Yeah. So. What should we bring? What should we do?
Good question.
I need a clay bar. The black Celica, when I bought that car at that yard sale, I've washed the car several times. I've foam bathed it. I've done everything. But I have not laid a mitt on that car.
On the paint. Okay.
I have got to do something to do a little paint restoration on it. So some clay, liquid clay. The thought of a clay bar scares the living hell out of me.
It's not bad.
Isn't it?
No. But there's probably different levels. It depends on what you're wanting.
I just want the black to not look gray anymore.
Yeah, you want a little depth.
Yeah.
We can talk. Or I'm sure there's some friends of ours, mutual friends, that could probably square us up.
I just need to know what product I need to get. I'll be happy to do it myself. I just don't want to do something where I screw the car up. There's so much fear when you deal with an old car and old paint. Toyota paint, especially the flat colors from back in the day, reds, whites, blacks. There's no clear coat.
They get chalky.
Yeah. So the last thing I want to do is do something that removes another layer and adds a potential for chalking and stuff like that.
Sure. And that's also the I don't want to say like the YouTube, just polish it. I'm like, cool. Now you've removed layers of paint.
Yeah.
It's shiny, but guess what? You ain't getting it shiny ever.
I know what's below that.
Yeah.
Primer.
Yeah. So the next time you go to polish it, is she gone? It's gone.
For sure, dude.
No, you're right to approach it cautiously.
All right. Well, did I give Daryl 5 minutes there, everybody?
Equal time.
And
survey says we're good.
It's close. All right, let's get on to our next section of the show called the news. All right. This article, I don't know why, Daryl, it came to me. Carscoops.com. It's a known car automotive news website.
Top quality.
Yeah. Suzuki suspends Jimny 5-door orders in Japan after a 4-day demand creates a 3.5-year backlog.
Are you serious?
4 days after launching the 5-door Jimny Nomad in Japan, Suzuki has received orders for the next 3.5 years. This is from Thanos Papas. This is from February 3rd, 2025. So it's a little dated. I apologize, but I was looking.
It's fine. We know what your
your
search history is.
Exactly.
Suzuki Jimny News.
It's like that meme. I wonder what he's thinking about right now. It's probably a Jimny.
How long is the wait for a 5-door Suzuki Jimny?
Exactly.
All right.
The 4-door Suzuki Jimny Nomad has proven incredibly popular with Japanese buyers, forcing the automaker to temporarily suspend orders. The demand has been so overwhelming that the automaker has no choice but to temporarily halt orders, as the flood of requests far exceeds their ability to keep up with production. Just 4 days after announcing the launch of the new Jimny Nomad in Japan, Suzuki was already staring down the barrel of a staggering 50,000 orders. Given that production output in Japan is currently capped at 1,200 units per month, buyers can expect to wait roughly 3.5 years before their new off-roader arrives. Wow. Man, that's crazy. Suzuki posted the following apology. This is so Japanese, and this is why I saved it. We apologize to our customers considering the purchase of the Jimny Nomad due to the suspension of orders. Thank you very much for your interest in our products. The Jimny Nomad has been very well received, and we received orders that far exceeded our production capacity. As a result, we will be temporarily suspending orders. We will provide updates on and when orders will reopen, considering the future production situation. We sincerely apologize for the inconvenience and appreciate your understanding.
Is that the best apology that you've ever read, though?
I mean, that's Suzuki. Imagine if Toyota had to write it.
That's actually pretty. That's the level. By the way, when somebody forgets something in my order at Taco Bell, when the chalupa doesn't make the bag, that's the level of apology.
I mean, to be fair, when I don't get something in my Teamy order, I get letters like this, right?
Sure. Seriously though, what does that speak to though? It speaks to what you're saying. People are hungry for something like that.
I guarantee you though, this is probably transport companies, rentals and stuff like that. These are perfect little cars.
Yeah.
They're low maintenance. I mean, to your point earlier, we're not talking about power windows. We're not talking about all these different electronic features. Dude, there's one dome light. My wife's Prius, it has like touch. There's not even a button to switch. You just you graze your finger over like a
capacitive touch or whatever they call it. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. We don't need all this crap.
No, it's one light bulb. And it's not LED. It's just an old-timey bulb.
Guess what? When the bulb burns out and I got to replace it, they'll say, oh, it's LED. You got to replace the whole assembly for $900. I'll be like, just give me the Jimny.
Yeah.
With with the old two-ended bulb, whatever that thing was.
That gets hot. Yeah, when you try to change it.
Oh, that when it's snowing outside, you can tell where the dome light's been on because it's still hot on the roof.
Yep. I'll tell you, it seems like that's the perfect car, and I think other automakers, we don't want a Bronco. We want the cheapest version.
Not necessarily the cheapest.
Well, I mean, you could get cheaper, but then you're just
Slate's going to be very interesting to see what happens with that. I think it could be a very good fleet vehicle. To see people actually like college students or parents this is a car, it's going to be our family car because it's a bargain. I'll be interested to see where that really shakes out.
True.
I think as a fleet vehicle that you plug in every night and you put your team in it, the next day to deliver or to do, rodent excrement or spray for weeds or whatever. I mean,
critter control.
Exactly. It's probably a perfect vehicle for fleet management.
Sure. Yeah.
I'd be interested to see if actually the general public drives it.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We were having coffee with some friends last week, and there was a friend, Katie referenced another one that starts with a T, and I kept wanting to call it Turo. It's not Turo. That's the rental thing.
Yeah.
But it's some other startup, small truck kind of thing. It's electric, but it's like sub 30,000. I mean, again, it's the same market. They're trying to capture, cheap, fun kind of consumers who don't want to spend a lot of money for something. And her current car, she's like, well, I might trade it in. I'm like, if your current car runs, and this is cheap enough, just keep it, because you're not going to go cross country with one of those. I don't think. You probably could, but I don't know.
It'd be an adventure.
It would be. It'd be all about the experience.
All right, you get this next one. I saved this one for you.
So thanks for thinking of me here. And we talk about experience. This one is, if you really want to go over to Gothenburg, Sweden, here's one more reason why you should.
I hadn't pinned it in my Google Maps yet.
Not yet. This one is titled The Volvo Museum Opens, and this is from Auto Week. It has been open for a year now. The new World of Volvo Museum tells the story of Swedish automaker Volvo, which celebrates 100 years in business in 1927. It was founded right there in Gothenburg, Sweden. Huge city. The building itself is fascinating. It's a web of massive curved hardwood ribs extending from the floor, and it supports a circular roof. So true to form, it's like cool Swedish stuff, right?
Actually, the furniture would probably be the reason to go.
Yeah, just to take it all in.
I just want to sit in the waiting room.
Scandinavian design shares certain design elements with the cars featured inside. You can see the singular desk that was the founding fathers Assar Gabrielsen and Gustav Larsson, an economist and an engineer, shared as they set out to build the car and set new standards for safety and quality. The first Volvo rode off the production line back in 1927, and the name itself means I roll in Latin.
Did you know that?
I did not.
Wow.
I should, but
I learned something today.
It refers to the Swedish SKF ball bearing that arrived in 1915. So yeah, anybody who's been working on European stuff has definitely seen like SKF bearings and seals and races and stuff like that. That's kind of where they got their start.
Volvo, I roll in Latin.
Yeah.
And it means ball bearing in Swedish. Huh.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
I tell you what, and I know, so some of the Volvo purists are like, yeah, but they sold the company. It's like Chinese now.
It's flipped a couple times.
It has. Yeah. They didn't sell it. Ford sold it because they sold it to Ford. That's the thing. I feel like there is...
Was that the Bill Ford generation? Is that...
Yeah. Honestly, it might have been, like early 2000s.
When he was like acquiring like Land Rover and stuff like that.
Jaguar. Yeah. Same thing.
Yeah.
That whole era, which kind of like GM was doing with Saab and some of the others. It
seemed smart at the time.
It seemed smart at the time, but they really just came in and like pilfered what they wanted and then moved on. And it's really a shame because Volvos still are fantastic vehicles. They've really taken hold when it comes to EVs, and also the design is still first and foremost safety and design. Those are paramount, and that's always kind of been the case with Volvo, especially since I'd say like the 50s. And that's really, when you think about something that sells, it's speed, it's color, it's design, it's all these features, it's whatever. It's not safety. That's not sexy. That's not like a marketing tool, but they somehow were able to make that like their cornerstone. That's
not, okay. I don't want to go like off the script here.
Yeah.
I will tell you, like when Angela was pregnant in Summer, she was holding Summer, I bought her a Mercedes 420 SEL.
The long wheelbase sedan?
Yeah. Because when you go to nesting, and it's a real thing, it's the same. It's whether it's a house, it's what she drives, it's everything. So there is a really strong aspect to selling safety. Now, I think there's just a small window when people really care.
Right, it's usually the young parent.
Exactly. So you want to have and the same thing. Even when I we sold that car, thank God, because it was costing us an arm and a leg. We bought a 2002 Camry sedan, and obviously a sedan, but we put Summer in the middle seat of that because you're so concerned about safety.
Yeah,
I mean, Volvo really sold that for years.
They did, and I think back to so my wife and I. You're not familiar with the show, or for me, my wife and I have a '69 Volvo 144 sedan, and we bought it from the original owners. And the reason that they bought it was because they were newlyweds. He had a '67 Ford Fairlane GTA, little hot rod. And then they said, "Oh, we're going to expect a family. We're expecting. We need a safer car." And he went and did his research, and he traded that 67 Fairlane, on 2 years old, on a brand new 69 Volvo sedan because it was safe.
Yeah, it's true. And it honestly, I remember years ago having a conversation with my dad. I'm like, you don't understand it. It's like a metabolism thing. You will do anything possible. You would sacrifice yourself. And you'll put yourself in a horribly boring car.
I'll drive a bank vault.
I don't exactly.
My kids, my family, my wife.
Exactly. You'll do it, and you don't even know why you're doing it. So,
well, good for them. I would love to see that. Maybe Eric, put that in your bucket list.
We should. I think
we could. You always said to me, by the way, and you can go back to the tapes.
Okay.
Go back to our fact checkers. I believe you said on this very podcast, quote, "I am going to retire and become a Swedish minimalist," unquote.
Ooh.
That stuck with me.
I may have said that.
I can see you wearing like a cool sweater, like a cool hat, like living in a fishing village.
Dude, when you were talking about all the different stuff and how you're not happy with all your stuff, I'm looking around the studio room and I'm like, I have stuff from high school I've been toting around. Why? What?
Because it was cool?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
What am I doing? I don't even know.
Would you live, though? Okay. and we'll get off this.
All right. Yeah,
we'll get off the Swedish
because we don't
meatball
do
thing.
shows that often. We're only an hour in.
Yeah.
We could take the show to 3 hours. We could go
my
full
God.
Joe Rogan on this if we want.
All right. Two things. Question. If you were to start a new life in Sweden, because that's where you want to go.
It's cold.
It is cold. It's colorful, though.
I'm cold, Daryl.
Would you be like the country Swede in like a colorful cottage in the woods somewhere? Or would you be like in a ultra sleek modern high rise full of glass and steel looking out over
A metro Swede?
Yeah. Which one would you be?
I think it'd be cold out in the country. I think it'd be a metro.
Yeah.
Because it's like Iceland. Everything is like geothermally heated, and they're hot everywhere. They got the windows open everywhere because they have so much heat rolling in everywhere.
They don't know what to do with it.
It's free. Exactly. So if it's anything like that, I think I'm going to be metro because I'll always be warm. I'll have a nice sweater.
Okay.
I'll look good in a sweater.
Yeah, I think you could
But
rock
I'll be
that
pasty
look.
white. I don't think Sweden's a place for me.
Why not?
No matter how cool the museum is, I'll go to Paris to that museum that you saw in Paris.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's what I'm going to do.
In the pre-show, you said you had great salmon in Scandinavia.
In Iceland.
I know, it's the same.
No,
pretty
it's
much
not.
the same.
It's not the same.
They like fish.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to retire. I'm going to take my sketch pad. I'm going to go to that car museum. And I'm just going to draw fenders all day with headlamps set in them. That's all I'm going to do.
Like Bob Ross.
It's the most beautiful thing. Just that lobe of a fender with a headlight in it, to me, is like some of the most beautiful lines in all automobiles is right there.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could just, that's going to be my retirement.
Happy little fenders.
Yes.
Go and paint them. Sell them in the bookstore. All right, that's not a Bob Ross impression. We need to move on. I apologize to the estate of Bob Ross.
That's the deepest, most honest conversation we've ever had on this show.
It might be.
Yeah.
It might be. What's going on? We've talked a lot about international and worldly news. What's
things
happening
are on
here?
their ear, so they're coming back to the United States. They're coming to America. I'm sure this is what Neil Diamond was singing about, actually.
Yeah, right.
GM plans a $4 billion push to move production from Mexico to the United States. This is from Summer Ballantyne from the Detroit News. Sorry, I had it all run together there. General Motors plans to invest $4 billion to move production from Mexico for 3 plants in the United States, including the shuttered Orion assembly plant in suburban Detroit. And 3 sources familiar with the situation, they told that to the Detroit News. Full-size SUVs and light-duty pickups are coming to Orion. Are you familiar with this Orion factory?
Yeah, heard of it. Never been, but yeah.
All right, which is being retooled to build electric truck. It was being retooled for electric trucks before the market demand waned. The gas-powered Equinox compact SUVs, they're slated for Fairfax, Kansas, and the gas-powered Blazer, controversial. When it was launched by GM as a plant in Mexico, will be produced in Spring Hill, Tennessee. Sources confirmed. Spring Hill, was that where?
The old Saturn.
That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah, it sure is. Yep.
Good
memory.
Yeah. So they've been building stuff in Spring Hill ever since Saturn folded?
Yeah, it's been just converted and retooled to another GM plant, basically.
Okay. After the Detroit News contacted GM Tuesday afternoon about the developments, the automaker posted the details on the website. We believe the future of transportation will be driven by American innovation and manufacturing expertise. That was from Mary Barra, she said in a statement. Today's announcement demonstrates our ongoing commitment to build vehicles in the United States and to support the American jobs. We focused on giving consumers choices, and we offered a broad range of vehicles they love. The move is partly driven by the increased demand for high-profit SUVs, of course, and, as we've been maligning them all show, right?
Yeah, right.
And partly in an effort to limit the exposure of pricey import tariffs enacted by President Donald Trump. His goal to force a manufacturing renaissance in the industrial heartland and beyond. When GM announced the plans to retool in 2022 to retool the Orion for the EV pickup truck, the state estimated the project would create 2,300 jobs and retain 1,000. And so that is from the Detroit News. We'll post that article later. I think I posted this one, and this is probably just like one article amongst many that are be coming out lately with the free trade agreement in North America kind of in flux. We'll probably see some more of these, right?
Probably. The interesting kind of spinoff, too, is from what I've read, at least right now, the new car prices have not really been affected, by and large.
Yeah.
There's some stuff. So there's this push now, and I don't want to put you on the spot because I know you're not in sales, but like, is now the time to buy a new car? Or
hard to say.
Here's
the problem. I work for Toyota. We have no cars on the lot. Every time a transport rolls up, we're sold out.
Gone.
I look next door at the Jeep store. They got cars for days.
And that's a real problem. So overseas, just to piggyback on world news a little bit, Stellantis is obviously, we all know, not doing so hot.
Yeah.
And overseas it was a bigger deal because they're actually headquartered there, right? Mm-hmm. So they're kind of looking, they're like, what's going to happen here?
Yeah.
Because the inventory is huge. Even over in Europe, like the Stellantis dealers, like there's a lot of stuff on the lot, which is a very old school mentality. Chrysler had this mentality, which is funny because that's who runs the Chrysler now. But like, hey, stuff isn't selling. Let's make a lot of it, let it sit on the lot for a long time, and then deeply discount it and be like fire sale and get it cleared out.
Yeah. Let the dealers handle it.
Yeah, and I forget, there's a term in like sales or the auto industry. I don't know what it's called. I read about it and forgot, but it's called like lot something or.
Well, you're keeping the union happy by manufacturing, keeping jobs going, but at the same time, you're flooding your lots. I don't know what that's called, but you're transferring the responsibility from one side to the other. So the manufacturer's pushing it all off on the dealers. And then on the balance sheet, they're either going to write it off as layoffs for the guys at the UAW, or they're going to write it off as incentives on the cars, one way or another, right?
Either way, as a consumer, if you're selling a Ram truck for $20,000 under MSRP, like that's something's wrong.
Yeah,
like something is horribly wrong there, and even that doesn't seem to motivate.
Well, we always say, we have a term in the car business called "there's an ass for every seat."
Yeah,
because there's a price that'll sell every car, right?
I guess
when guys come in, they're like, "I could sell that car." I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, you can lower the price. You'll sell anything at the right price."
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, the art is to actually sell cars and make money on them.
There's a happy medium. Like there's a window in there where that makes sense. I wish them well. I do think this is a little bit of definitely heard a lot more about insourcing and that thing in Mexico we were doing for 20 years. Yeah, we're doing that here now.
So I don't think we talked about this in the last show, and I will grandstand just a bit here.
Sure.
So a couple of manufacturers have said they're not going to. Actually, Toyota basically said to all dealers, do not advertise tariffs
at all.
Do we talk about this in the last show?
Mm-mm.
Okay. And if you do, you're going to be severely punished. We don't want you doing any tariff sales. We don't want you talking about pre-tariff pricing, any of that stuff.
Oh.
And Toyota's basically said at the corporate level, we're not going to change any of our pricing based on tariffs. Now, in the meantime, other manufacturers, I think even Lincoln.
Nissan has been big about like, we're made here with tariffs that don't affect the prices or whatever.
That, but then also there's been some manufacturers said we're not going to do any more. We're not going to make cars. We're not going to import cars because of the tariffs. I think Lincoln was one of them. I think maybe Infiniti. There were some brands that were really saying we're going to be affected by this, and so they took the road where, hey, we're not going to bring cars to the United States. This is going to affect us, so we're not going to bring as many cars in. So dealers need to know. So in that situation, the advantage comes to a manufacturer like Toyota. They're like, we're going to gain market share.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have enough money in the bank. We can take the tariffs. Yeah, hit us with everything you got. Guess what? All these small manufacturers are going to lose ground, and now the biggest manufacturers are going to consolidate even more market share. Mm-hmm. So this hasn't solved. This actually makes it worse for the small players.
Yeah, it actually doesn't solve what people, I think, intended for it to solve.
Yeah,
Nissan has doubled down on the... We've made since the 80s, I think like 82 or 3, whatever, they started manufacturing operations here in the States. Around Honda's same time Honda and Toyota.
And Toyota in Georgetown, Kentucky, which is a massive complex now.
It is. But Nissan's, I keep seeing ads over the weekend. It was like, we've made, I forget what it is now. Maybe it's the Rogue or something, like their entry-level SUV. Like, made in America, unaffected by tariffs. I mean, they just keep every which way they can to remind, like, hey, we make stuff here. It harkens back to, as a kid of the 70s and 80s, do you remember the whole Buy American thing, right? Do you remember some of that?
No, not really.
That was, I don't know why, it was a bigger deal where I grew up, which is weird.
You've always been loyal to American factories, so maybe that was your household.
Maybe little.
That's what you guys sat around the kitchen table and talked about.
Yeah, we just burned like models of Mitsubishis on the No, American Motors, AMC, up in Kenosha was, literally 15, 20 minutes north of me. And I had some friends, parents who worked at the plant and stuff like that. So maybe that's why. But I remember that was a much bigger deal in the 80s. And it was almost like, there were certain parts of the country where, like, if you didn't drive a Ford, Chevy, or Chrysler product, it was like you were frowned upon.
This was part of that country. It's your Caterpillar country. This is UAW land.
Yeah. So you have the union mix plus the whole political climate and all that. And I get what they're trying to do, but like we were talking a little bit before the show, the pre-show, you're not going to change systemic manufacturing or, look at the chip shortage. It was the same thing. And I'll get off this real quick.
No, because I think what you're leading is where I was going to comment next. Yeah, we're selling our cars at Toyota, and we're selling them as soon as they roll in the lot.
Yeah.
You know what we're having problems with? Is supply line. So transmissions, parts that come from overseas.
Electronic components.
I'm waiting 2 months now for stuff that used to take 2 days.
Yep.
And so I got people in loaner cars. I got a cat converter from Japan is taking like 12 weeks.
Yeah.
So you may not see it right there on the sticker price of the car now, but as we get deeper and deeper into this stuff, because you're right, back to the point, we're not manufacturing this stuff here in the United States.
No, and we haven't been for decades now.
And nobody... Okay, even if we did find a factory that was going to build catalytic converters for Toyota in the United States, we got to populate that with jobs.
Right.
So it becomes years and years of waiting. It's an impossibility to think that that's practical.
It is, and short term, long term. Like maybe the long term, maybe there's some benefit to that.
It causes a ripple now. It maybe readjusts the viewfinder as far as what we should be doing. But at the same time, and I talked to Regan about this, and I'd like to readdress this conversation sometime. Getting back to we talked about this in the pre-show. If you talk to a farmer in 1940, do you want to be a farmer? Do you want your kids to be farmers? No, I want them to go to college. I want them to do something better. So that kid goes on, becomes an engineer for Caterpillar or something like that. And then that guy who's a Caterpillar engineer in the 60s, he wants his kids to go to college. He wants them to be even better, right? He doesn't want to work as hard as he did.
Right.
And so now we're circling back and we're acting like we want these kids to be back in manufacturing jobs. But these jobs don't pay. We're talking about moving retirement ages to 69 years old. For kids who are like my son's age, to be 70 years old before they can retire and get Social Security and work a factory job, this is not the direction it's not the direction the United States was going. This is not the direction that the people in the 50s and the 60s and 70s kind of designed everything to do.
That's true. Even taking a tour of the Volkswagen Wolfsburg assembly, they're making brand new GTIs and Touaregs and what I think the other SUV starts with the T. Tiguan, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
This is a world-class assembly facility. Fantastic. And driving through there, taking the tram tour and looking at all the people, like nobody look happy. It's the same look on the faces of people I've seen in Lordstown, Ohio, Wentzville, Missouri.
Or from assembly line pictures of the Model T, probably.
Exactly. Or Caterpillar.
Grim-looking people like, we're next to the car.
It's a job. It's a job, right? And it's skilled. It's different today. It's completely different. The amount
certainly easier on the joints. You're working from hydraulics, chairs, and stuff like that, right?
Exactly. And that's the one thing I notice is like the robotic assist and all the things that they've done now has made that a little bit easier. But still, at the end of the day, it's mind-numbing, repetitious stuff. These people get
and if you work that job and your kid says, "Dad, I want to be like you," you're like, "No, I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to do this living." And so that's what happens. And this romanticizing that manufacturing jobs are what we want here in the United States, that kills me.
Yeah.
Because I think we've literally lost grip on what the previous generation wanted us to do with our lives.
Anybody talk to their grandparents or parents? anybody have like family history? I couldn't wait to get out of
exactly.
This factory.
As a matter of fact, your grandpa died when he was 55 because he worked his ass off his whole life. Yeah. He had black lung from being in the coal miner factory. But we want to bring coal mining back for our kids.
Worked in the foundry, had silicosis.
Yeah.
But
sorry, that's getting political. I'm sorry.
It's true.
But it's a struggle because listen, I bring kids up all the time because I want them to be great. I want them to be great auto technicians, and the best technicians, the L1 level technicians who can do everything, can make so much money. They make a great life for themselves. And guess what? They can do so much. They can move. They can take their toolbox to anywhere else in the country. They go around the world if you're a Toyota certified technician.
Yeah, right there.
That's what I want. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see a guy grinding his life out, turning rotors and breathing brake dust, for 40 years and calling that a career.
Exactly.
So I want everybody to be the best they can be. But that doesn't always happen for everybody. So
yeah, very true. Awesome. All right. Well, we'll move on.
Yeah. But, sorry, we got a little negative there.
We'll brighten it up a bit here.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice if you would do that?
Wouldn't it be nice? You know, there were car songs before Brian Wilson, of course, but few entertainers in the rock and roll era did more to promote Southern California car culture than, of course, the Beach Boys founder who died June 11th at the age of 82, Brian Wilson. Rest in peace. Amazing singer, songwriter, and just a personality that, there was a lot there. It wasn't just 1932 Fords like Little Deuce Coupe or powerful Chevrolet engines like the 409 that Wilson and the Beach Boys wrote and sang about. It was the Jaguar XKEs. It was Corvettes, the Jan and Dean classic Dead Man's Curve. And back in the summer of 1964, Wilson's song about a 50cc motor scooter had Americans singing the name of a little-known Japanese company when Little Honda debuted on the charts. The Beach Boys' All Summer Long album was popular that year. The song was covered by the same summer by the one-hit wonder group called the Hondells.
Is that a thing?
They should probably sue them. It hit number 9 on the pop charts. But bottom line is, when you think of car culture, you think of cruise-ins, you think of classic stuff, you hear Beach Boys soundtrack, don't you?
Absolutely. I'm trying to think of any other band that's as iconic with vehicles as the Beach Boys.
No. I would venture to guess.
Hot Rod Lincoln.
Well, yeah, Commander Cody. It's good stuff.
That's the one.
You know what? Good guitar picking stuff is good, but Beach Boys really just captures that era.
Yeah, think about that. The 50s, the car culture was post-war, so everybody was, it was a glorious time.
Yeah.
Optimism,
freeways, the tickets to adventure and freedom. And, we just, in the pre-show, we did kind of rattle off a couple of Beach Boys car songs. Little Honda, of course, 409 came up.
And the Honda thing is beyond me. How funny is that never even, before today,
yeah.
Little Honda didn't even register with me.
Yeah, and here's how stupid I was. When I was a little kid, my parents had a Beach Boys greatest hits album, and I thought they were talking about Honda cars. And they're like, no, it was a motorcycle. I'm like, what? Yeah. But that was the thing. It was the song all was about a ticket to adventure, ticket to somewhere else. Like, hey, I'm here. I want to be somewhere cooler.
Yeah.
And the car was part of that. And the music, of course, it just added to the soundtrack. Big Beach Boys fan growing up, Eric?
So my stepdad, he had All American Summer or something. It was like a red, white, and blue cover. I think it was just like a greatest hits LP of Beach Boys stuff.
Yeah.
So it had all those great car songs on it. And I remember we listened to that a lot. But it is just a little bit too saccharine at some point.
It's a little too bubblegummy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I can only take so much of it.
Well,
even as a kid, I think I was like, these are all great. I know all the words. It was almost like Elvira by the Oak Ridge Boys, where we would sing along to everything, and there was like a novelty to it.
Yeah.
But once you knew the songs, and you're like, okay, this doesn't change. What was it? Wasn't there like a skit in Pee-wee's Big Adventure where they're all singing the same song, and he just got sick of it or something like that?
Yeah, where he's in the boxcar and he's singing Jimmy Crack Corn, and he just jumps. He jumps off the moving train. Because it drives him nuts. Really? That's how you felt about the Beach Boys?
I think that's where I got. Honestly, Little Deuce Coupe, great song. Everybody knows it. But at some point, you're like, okay, if I have to listen to this one more time, I as a kid, I was a contractor. I was a framer, and so we'd work on houses and stuff like that. And it was always classic rock.
Okay.
And so I think.
Did you have an oldie station you listened to too and stuff?
And my grandfather listened to the oldie station when he was working with us. So it just. Man,
it's too much.
Too much of that stuff. But it's funny, that music doesn't translate. It's not on the radio anymore. I suppose if you were listening to 50s on 5 on XM, you might hear a lot of this stuff.
No,
Maybe.
That's a very good point, because when I was a kid, we listened in Chicago. There was WJMK, Oldies 104.3. And, man, Beach Boys, I think they were on 3 times an hour. It was ridiculous.
I believe that.
But for a period of time, like junior high, high school, and then they disappeared. Mm-hmm. And to your point, I don't think that you can hear Beach Boys anywhere unless you seek them out.
Yeah,
they really don't. Like if there's an obscure surf guitar channel on a Sirius XM or something, but I don't think there is. But no, but that was the soundtrack. I mean, American Graffiti and all that kind of that whole era, fantastic stuff, and. Yeah, great contribution to the Great American Songbook.
Yeah, I love the fact that Brian Wilson gets tons of credit. I mean, to be fair, I don't know really anybody else in the Beach Boys. So Brian Wilson...
Do you have two brothers?
Do you think it galls the rest of the Beach Boys that he gets so much credit?
Probably. I couldn't even, other than Mike Love, I couldn't tell you another one.
Yeah.
But I think he had two brothers. And what, was there a cousin who came later or something?
I don't know.
Some dude from the Beach Boys has ties to either Pekin, Peoria, East Peoria.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Everybody kind of does, right?
It's the center of the universe. But
Yeah.
no, I couldn't tell you who that is. Anyways, Al Jardine, is that one? He's later.
That sounds right.
There was a Carl Wilson, a Dennis Wilson,
Okay.
Bruce Johnston, that's who it is. And Al Jardine was a guitar player. I'll tell you what, did you watch that movie Love and Mercy?
Yeah. John Cusack, we were talking about, he's a known jerk.
Yeah, he is. Interesting thing, though, Brian Wilson met his wife, his second wife. I think he was married before.
Oh, at the Cadillac dealership.
She was selling him a Cadillac.
That was the cheesiest part of that whole movie. But
I know.
I enjoyed it, and then after that was all over, I was like, oh, I'm going to download Smiley Smile or whatever it was. That album sucks. I'm sorry.
That album's bad.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Really bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just proves that you never know when you walk into a car dealer, you might meet the love of your life.
That's
and she
true.
might save you from yourself.
Or you might meet Eric Stahl. You never know.
Either one. He's taken, ladies.
Yeah, right. I know they're all lined up out the door
Right.
around the dealership. All right, next article here. President Trump revokes a California ban on gas cars and diesel trucks, preserving consumer choice and affordability. The California EV mandate that would have damaged the auto industry market nationwide were struck down Thursday when President Donald Trump signed a 3 Congressional Review Act resolutions in the Oval Office ceremony. Consumers may not realize that a major crisis has been averted today when President Trump signed these resolutions, said Mike Stanton, CEO of NADA, who attended the ceremony. California's ban on gas and hybrid cars and diesel trucks was completely out of alignment with the consumer demand, given the insufficient charging infrastructure and the high cost of electric vehicles, EVs. The source of that is the NADA. Now, full disclaimer, I'm a member of NADA. I go to NADA meetings. As a matter of fact, next week I'll be at NADA. I would say this is highly partisan. NADA, of course, wants to make sure that we're building lots of cars and selling lots of cars in the United States that are built in the United States. I'm not sure the disparaging part about the EVs from NADA. So,
Yeah.
but
Is that on brand for them? Is that kind of how things usually?
NADA,
Yeah.
you know, they're mostly a lobbying group, and they deal a lot in Washington D.C. with dealerships.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one thing about car dealerships, we have a lot of blue laws, and so we don't work Saturdays in Illinois, for instance. Some states like Florida, they work 7 days a week, but blue laws, you know, whether it's the Illinois Automotive Dealer Association or the NADA, those are mostly protected in Congress and in local governments by your automobile dealer association. So I would say they're mostly a government group, kind of an influencer group. But,
Okay.
they do a lot of good work in some ways. They keep their franchise laws in check. But, you know, a lot of people, and that's a constant fight against guys like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos against doing their own, you know, direct-to-consumer builds, right?
And even Ford was trying to do that for a while.
Yeah, so
It
NADA,
kind of petered out.
Yeah, NADA, if you're a member of NADA in your dealership, you know, this is protecting your right to be a franchisee.
Yeah. Interesting.
So I'll be interested to see where this goes, because honestly, a lot of EV usage and the assimilation into the customers is going to be whatever is financially responsible for them, right? So if customers want an EV, they're going to buy an EV no matter what the mandate is from the federal government. So
Because it's good business decision.
dude, gas is $7 a gallon in California. So if I can charge my car and not hit the $7 a gallon gas station, you know, and charge up, maybe I have solar at my house, maybe I have some other, you know, co-op on a solar plant or renewable, EVs might make sense. So.
Yeah. Especially in certain instances with, you know, I'm thinking delivery vehicles, especially, you know, coming out of some of these urban areas where, you know, you have a planned route every day, it does a job, and you come back and park it at night. Like, that's prime EV material right
Absolutely.
there.
I think that's where the Slate and those other, like, small SUVs or EVs could be great, especially for fleet usage, yeah.
Even by you, where you work, there's that Amazon hub. And if you go to the Casey's gas station, we've talked about this, the Casey's right by you during, like, shift change.
Dude, they just minted money off of that place.
Unbelievable. It's like watching...
Half their pumps are broke. I went there the other day, and half their pumps were broken. I'm like, this has got to be costing Casey's like $10,000 a day.
Easily. And I'm thinking to myself, why aren't these things plug in? Like, half of these things could be,
I get that, but we're rural.
True.
If we were talking about downtown Peoria, because every time I've gone to a city, and I've I'm just trying to think of a city I've been in recently, but if it was in Nashville or something like that, there is a Rivian, Amazon delivery truck. Chicago, I've seen them.
Yeah, my parents' neighborhood, they're all over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it's just all about proximity. Nobody's going to drive all the way out to Tremont in a vehicle and gets like 200 miles on a charge, right?
Yeah, go to Delavan and then somewhere. Yeah,
I
get
plug
it.
in. Yeah.
But interesting, though. I think definitely a time and a place. We'll shift gears here to local news. And this one, not to be Debbie Downers, but this is really a story.
This is a tough article.
I'll tell you, this one we read and we're like, holy crap, I can't believe this actually happened. This is really depressing. But I'll just give you the 10,000-foot overview. A pair of young kids, teenagers, have actually been arrested. They stole a car from an impound lot, a towing yard in the south end of Peoria. And some of the two workers tried to either stop them or interfere or keep, what were they, by a gate? We'll read about this. But the kids that stole the car drove through the gate. Both the guys were injured. One guy later ended up passing away from his injuries. Really, really sad. There was a security footage, and the police were looking for leads and stuff, and they finally found these two kids. One was 16, one was 18. We'll learn here in a moment. But teenagers charged with first-degree murder and death of 70-year-old man at a Peoria, Illinois tow yard. This is in the Peoria Journal-Star. A pair of teens were charged with first-degree murder for allegedly killing a 70-year-old man by driving a stolen vehicle through the gate of a Peoria tow yard. Jalen Polnitz, 16, and Terrence Shaw, each had 18, each had arrest warrants issued on charges of first-degree murder in the death of William Collier Bartonville on June 9th at Billy Joe's Towing, located in the 1500 block of West Lincoln Avenue. You guys ever use Billy Joe's? They're all over.
I know the name, but they're like Joe's Towing. They're a pretty big company.
Yeah. Terrence Shaw taken into custody without incident, transported to the Peoria County Jail. According to the Peoria State's Attorney's Office, police in Peoria responded to the tow yard at 3:44 p.m. on June 9th, in response to a stolen vehicle. Two people later identified as Polnitz and Shaw. Hold on. Lost my place.
I saw your cursor bounce all over my screen.
What the heck happened there? Tried to flee the yard in the stolen vehicle while employees tried to close the gate. The teen sped up, ran through the gate, allegedly hitting Collier and another person. Both employees transported to a hospital, and Collier later died. Despite Polnitz's age, he is being tried as an adult due to the seriousness of the charges. Now, this also speaks to, and you've heard in this show in the past, we've covered, as the local news has covered, I don't want to say a rash, but like more auto thefts by underage juveniles than I've ever seen in my life.
I don't know if this is like a national thing or if this is just a Peoria thing.
Curious.
Yeah. I really would love, if you want to give some feedback on the show, I mean, if you're in Cincinnati, is this the type of news that comes across all the time? I mean,
15, 16-year-olds boosting cars. And I mean, this is really what it boils down to.
Well, generally, they just grab the car, drive it, hot rod it for 2 hours, and then abandon it on the side of the road when it runs out of gas. They don't even fill it up, right?
They don't care. This is a joyride. Other news outlets, the Journal-Star hasn't covered this, but other news outlets have said they stole it allegedly for just a joyride, to get a ride home somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's really what this speaks to is, first of all, for me, like the tech guy in me is thinking, how is it still that easy? With all of the security measures, all the computerized whatever, how is it this easy that you can still boost a car?
Well, how many people do you know with Hyundais that they can't insure? One of my friends, their son, he can't insure his car because he has the type of Hyundai that you can stick a USB in and start it up.
And just fire it and just drive away.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I'm not laughing. I'm sorry.
No.
Mr. Collier, I mean, this is a terrible story.
Absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
And we don't know, obviously, all the details of it. And it does also question, you work retail ever? Okay. One of the things that when I worked retail, if you see shoplifters, and I came of the age where you can kind of like come up, ask them questions, try to treat them like a customer, and then like make it uncomfortable for them to leave. Yeah. Preferably without the stuff. Yeah. But you couldn't chase them. You couldn't accuse them. You couldn't do anything. If you saw them physically take something, you could call the authorities. Yeah. But you really couldn't, like, it's not the old days where you chase them down and do something. And I wonder if some of this is kind of like I'll be damned if those kids are going to steal this from me. And then try to go out and block it or try to close the gate or whatever. At the end of the day, it's not worth it. Even a $15,000 Hyundai or whatever they ended up stealing, is that really worth messing with? Or do you just let insurance, like, just handle it?
Yeah, well, I mean, they obviously had videotape because they could see who the guys were and everything. We talked about this story actually at work.
Yeah.
Because it kind of resonated with everybody here. I mean, if somebody came into the store and they, like, ripped off a car, would you throw yourself in front? Well, hell no, you wouldn't. You'd, like, step away. It's not worth dying over.
Yeah.
And then another guy looked at me and was like, oh, you wouldn't protect him. I'm like, no, you don't know who has a gun anymore, for one.
No.
I had a guy the other day in my office who was, like, flipping out because he'd waited a couple months for a part. He's like, what are you going to do for me? What are you going to do for me? And I'm like, I'm not doing it. And then he started dropping F-bombs. I'm like, get out of here.
Yeah.
I'm like, but in this day and age, if I see that guy roll up here, he could be packing heat.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll be honest with you, the way he spoke and his temperament and as aggravated as he was, I'm like, you can't trust anybody anymore. And
you
so,
just don't know.
Do I need to do open carry now? To worry about customers like freaking out?
Shouldn't.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to. But so.
But I'll tell you what,
scary.
listen to any police scanner nowadays that you still can before they encrypt them all, and you'll hear a lot of the business disturbances and stuff like that is a customer, agitated customer refusing to leave.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking to myself, it's just like, and when I was younger and I'd flip off or say something to somebody in traffic or something like that, and my mom would be like, well, you never know what they're going to do. And nowadays, somebody cuts me off, I just like wave, have a nice day.
That's where I'm at.
I don't even care because you could get blown away.
Yeah, Angela like freaks out. She had to drive to the dealership on Saturday. We were swapping out cars because Aiden's car was here, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so I drive this route every day. I know I get on 474, I take the off-ramp onto 29. I know how it goes. And there's a sign that even says, North Peak in 1 mile off the interstate. She's behind somebody. There's another car in the left-hand lane. She's like, I can't get around these people. I'm like, you got 1 mile. She's like, these people, they're blocking me out. And I'm like, listen, by the time you get to the off-ramp, you don't even know how many cars are in the off-ramp. And then that light sits there for 5 minutes anyway.
You're screwed.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just calm down.
Yep.
And so we get down to the bottom, and she's got like road rage because, somebody wouldn't get out of the way in time. And
she pounding the dash.
Yeah, seriously. I'm like, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Just chill out. That's very easy to say. I think, as we get older, we get a little wiser. This is definitely old man territory because when I was 20 or 21, I would get right on somebody's butt and be like, I'm in a hurry. I'm going to let you know.
Teach this guy a lesson.
And by the way, I have the reflexes. I'm agile enough that if you do something stupid, I'm going to hit the brakes.
Yeah, brake check me. I'll show you brake check.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know, man. There's just some civility.
I know.
And this comes, okay, so getting back to this.
Yeah, I feel for the guy.
I do. There's no reason, any job, to throw yourself in front of these kids these days. And it's not a matter of, I don't want to say lack of respect, because it's definitely lack of respect. I just don't think they know respect. I don't think anybody understands the value of their actions. So,
like, it's not real. They don't understand the full breadth of it. Like, I'm just stealing a car.
No.
What's this dude doing?
And how sad is that? They won't. Maybe they won't understand the breadth of their actions until they're 30 years old. Until they've spent some time thinking about it, because nobody's really told them about consequences or being responsible or being a human being, right?
Well, the interesting thing with this one, the reason I did add this is, first of all, the 16-year-old is actually he was arrested and was actually he's being charged as an adult.
You're 16. At this point, I think people age faster. I think a 16-year-old is just as adult as an 18. And I deal with these kids all the time. I hire kids at 15, 16 years old.
Sure.
I can't tell you that a 16-year-old is any more advanced mentally than an 18-year-old versus a 20-year-old. These numbers are arbitrary anymore.
I think guys don't actually mature until they're like 30.
I agree.
I agree like mentally and stuff.
I agree completely.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm not saying that to be like just ripping on guys like
a
jerk,
I don't understand. To your point, a 16-year-old versus an 18-year-old, they're pretty much adult.
Yeah.
Tell me that 18-year-old lived that much more life in 2 years than the 16-year-old? Probably not.
No.
Same nonsense.
Just super sad, and our hearts do go out to the family of the guy who passed away. It is it's unfortunate, and it is hopefully a wake up call though for others. I am glad to see, at least it looks like they're going to prosecute these folks and kind of use this as an opportunity, because in the past, whenever the juveniles do kind of get away with stuff like this. it's just a precursor to something worse down the road.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. We'll see.
Well,
We'll see.
okay, yeah. So my wife works in corrections. Believe we could talk about this stuff all
Oh,
day.
yeah.
Okay, so I do this next section of the show. The news is all done. This next section is clearly for keywords and for self-promotion. So this is the supercar news search. Is this the supercar to beat in 2025? This is by Peter Korn. I don't even know where Peter Korn sounds like a stage name, doesn't it?
It's not a real name. Can't be.
All right, Peter Korn says, this was published 6 hours ago, McLaren, the realm of supercars is a strange and fickle one. People are willing to spend a galactic sum of money on things they might never drive, but all predicated on how good it is to drive if they actually put it on the road. Strange. That said, these machines are performance masterpieces despite how often they aren't used. The newest crop of fire breathers in McLaren, is it McLaren? Is that how you would say it? McLaren.
Sure.
Okay.
Like a McLean Deluxe hamburger?
McLaren, I think is how I should say it. The McLaren 750 S Spider
Sounds weird.
is getting a lot of attention. So, is that the supercar to beat in 2025? I ask you, dear listener, let me know in the comments.
So I've seen one of these bad boys.
Oh, have you? In person in Peoria?
One. No, it was on I-55.
Seriously?
Yeah, a guy blitzed past us last weekend, actually. It was all black, kind of like a matte black wrap. And it was one of those, like, I think that's a McLaren. And then, of course, when I got home, I had to Google it. And it is, the 750S Spider. What do you think the MSRP is on that bad boy?
Well, I just Googled it.
Did you?
So I know. It says $312,585.
Pocket change. It's pocket change.
Yes.
4-liter V8, making, 740-ish horsepower. And it's a 7-speed automatic. Boo. But anyway.
7. I got a 6-speed in the Tacoma.
It's good enough. Why do you need a 7? It's like 6-minute abs.
Yeah. Does that count reverse?
It does. Sure. No. Anyway, no, that's the thing. McLaren, of course, we've known for a while now. That's a name that's been synonymous with speed and sport and style. But people don't drive them. So when I saw that thing on 55, I was like, I had to Google it because I'm like, I think it's a McLaren.
We've seen one at Cars and Coffee, right?
Is it that white one? Or red? I don't, there's one that has made an appearance locally.
Okay. I kind of remember.
Yeah, but I'll be honest with you. Do these do much for you?
Thanks for being honest with me, Daryl. I know you've been lying to me all night.
I have been. Through my teeth.
No, actually, none of these cars do anything for me anymore. There was a time where I was just like, oh, man, it's a Ferrari. But
I know.
I am beyond high-tech supercars anymore at this point in my life. I think there's an aspect to them where they're having the best. It's just like anything where it's like the latest and greatest phone, latest and greatest TV.
Yeah.
I get it, but here's what happens. Technology passes these things up in the next 2 or 3 years. So I think when you're on the bleeding edge like this, you really are living a lifestyle choice because I think you have to know you have to be ready for the next best great thing, right?
You have to be so rich that you have to, you only have it a year or two and then trade it off and get something else.
Yeah.
It's funny because here's the thing. We grew up with the Ferrari, the Magnum PI, the 308 GTS.
Yeah.
Man, that car is cool. And then all of a sudden the Testarossa came out. And like, that thing's stupid looking.
Yeah.
The Testarosa's cool. And then, there was a period of time where the Testarossa looked so grotesquely outdated, bloated, just goofy caricature of a Ferrari. And now you look at them, you're like, all right, they're aging very nicely. And they're actually kind of cool. And I wouldn't mind having one. And some of them are within earshot of being somewhat attainable.
Yeah. But think about your garage.
I know it wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I think you're exactly right. Where these things are really, it's a flash in the pan, and it's one of those that you need to have one, be seen in it, have photographic evidence, and then get rid of it.
Yeah. Right. I mean, what's a bunch of carbon fiber and electronics going to do for you in 20 years from now?
It ain't going to do anything for anybody.
No, I've seen carbon fiber after it sits for 20 years. It's not even pretty.
Does it crack? Does it dry out?
It gets what do you call it? Chalky. So,
gross.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that. What you really do want is a low-priced car of the week.
What car of the week, you say?
Well, that's a segment that a lot of folks enjoy of this podcast. And it's one that we kind of have, a sick infatuation with.
Oh, totally.
Because we send each other
We
Nonsense.
invented this, right?
We did. This is patented. This is we've trademarked this.
The best part about Cars of the Week is I don't just send them to you. I mean, we send them. Maybe you have like a group with 3 other friends in another spot, and I have a group with other guys. I even might send something to my wife. You know, we just send these cars all around, just kind of like fishing them around. Like, hey guys, what do you think? Right?
Yeah, and the answer is never yes. Great idea. Go ahead and buy that. Let them know you'll take it.
That's not true. Our friends are bad inspiration.
Sometimes. Other times they just reinforce why we're friends.
Yeah,
everybody needs to be like, no, that's a bad decision, man. You don't want anything to do with that. You're like, yeah, you're right. Or other times like, yeah, I think those are gross. You're like, yeah, what am I thinking? And you secretly still want it.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, it used to be girls when we were kids, and it might have been other things later on, but it's moved on and morphed to cars, right?
Yeah, they're never normal. And I actually applaud your pick this week because
it's predictable.
It's somewhat predictable, but also just weird and left field. What did you find on the intranet?
Well, you know, I had to be motivated to find this from my recent trip to Iceland. Did you know, Daryl, that in 1995, Suzuki still made a Jimny, and it doesn't look a whole lot different than the Jimny I rented in Iceland a couple weeks ago.
So basically a box on wheels?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
So I found a right-hand drive Suzuki Jimny on Auto Trader Classics. It's 1995 again, 103,000 miles, runs perfect. It's so much fun. It's right-hand drive. It's a CJ 40.1 engine manual transmission, 4-wheel drive, works great. Has new tires. The vehicle has been imported from Japan, so has never seen snow. They have no snow in Japan. Did I miss something?
They have mountains, maybe.
No, they do. No, it's not Kilimanjaro.
Fuji. One of them.
Sorry.
I don't know. We weren't geography
But I don't
stars.
think I ever saw a Jimny driving up Fuji. So anyway.
No.
Yeah. It's never seen snow, salt, or winter. Please note the following. The vehicle location is at our client's home and not in Cadillac, Michigan. Anyway, 103,000 miles. It's army green. It's got some alloy wheels. This is actually a much nicer version of the Jimny than what I was driving when I was in Iceland.
It does look pretty slick.
It does. They want $15,995 for this guy. Now, this sounds amazing. And I tell you what, I wanted to take my little Jimny from the rental car agency and tuck it in my carry-on bag.
Take it home.
Yes, exactly. And you know, as cross-eyed as they looked at me, they thought I was crazy. I will admit that I was a bit besmitten by the vehicle. It was certainly not the greatest. It didn't have the best performance.
Yeah.
It certainly wasn't comfortable. But there was just a lot. There was just something about the car.
Was it character, personality?
I think so. There's personality. It spoke to me. But then I thought to myself, why would I buy that thing when I could get online and I could buy a 2023 Mahindra Roxor, which is basically a little Willys Jeep, clone, and I could have that for $17,000, brand new with warranty. Now, it's not road legal, but
I was going to say this looks like a bloated side-by-side from like the Dollar General.
But I could probably cheat it on the roads here in Tazewell County and drive around. So I get a Roxor, and Mahindra's not a bad brand. These were modeled after the original Willys Jeeps, and they come with 245, 75/16 tires. So I mean, it's a full-grown adult vehicle, right?
It does look like it looks like an old CJ of sorts.
Yeah. I've seen these actually in real life. I was down in Lexington, Kentucky last year for a whiskey tour, and one of the distilleries had a couple of these as their fleet over at what was the distillery? Whiskey Thief. Huh. And I was standing there. Everybody else is inside looking at the distillery. They're like, "Oh, this is so great. We're here." And I'm like, "Oh, look at that Mahindra Roxor. This is great." I'm taking pictures of it.
What's this guy doing in the parking lot?
Exactly.
That's weird though. So, but Mahindra, Indian company.
Yeah.
And did they buy the rights to the old tubs and stuff?
Yeah, I think tooling? Maybe it's like Walt Disney. Maybe it's all like up for grabs after 75 years. I don't know. But they have been around for a while. They were popular on, when the quads were gaining a lot of acceptance on the roads and stuff like that. I think Mahindra saw an opportunity. But I really do think the market is bloated on these things. And I saw several for under $15,000. This would be fun to have. But I got my truck.
You got a little mule.
I got a little mule. I'm going to weld on a little piece on the frame, and everything will be fine. But man, that Jimny.
Well, this could be.
I'm conflicted. I'll tell you.
The next generation, little mule is going to ride off into the sunset someday. And maybe one of these finds its way onto the...
If it doesn't have a truck bed, I don't know what the point would be. So we'll see.
Get a trailer.
Yeah. All right. So
nice choices, by the way.
Thank you. Let's go back to the introduction of the show. I mean, I am shocked that a brand that has been like basically shut down. I mean, Canoe.
Yeah.
I thought Canoe was going to be like the ultimate EV. I'm like, this is awesome. It could be a truck. It could be a van. This is a brand that's going to make it. And then you're like, no, Lordstown's really cool because they're going to make that factory awesome. And so Lordstown somehow still is making news, but I can't get a Canoe anywhere. But somehow you found a used Lordstown.
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, what was it, the Ghost of EV Past or 12 EVs of Christmas, whatever it did?
Yes.
A couple of years ago. Lordstown did make an appearance several times in this show where it's like, hey...
Because you love the factory.
I like the factory. Former GM factory town, Lordstown, Ohio, right near Youngstown, where my wife and I took a tour. It's where they made the Chevy Cavalier, by the way, among other cars.
Okay.
Which that's why.
And your family's had like 3 or 4 of those, right?
Yeah, and we actually still have 2 in the family. It's fantastic. We are weird. But we went to take a tour of that factory and really neat part of the country. And Eddie Money actually played a concert at
the late great
Eddie Money at a parking lot in a mall just outside Lordstown.
I got to play it.
Anyway, Lordstown, of course, fell on hard times when GM said, hey, after the whole Chevy Cruze, we're not making those anymore. Yeah, we're just going to close that plant or whatever. Well, there was a group of investors that decided, hey, you know what America needs? An American-made pickup. Like an EV, kind of like a Rivian.
This is delayed. But
is it? Thank you. There's some Eddie Money.
There you go.
Love it. And so they decided to spin up this EV truck that they called the Endurance, the Lordstown Endurance.
Oh, it did have a name. Okay.
Yeah. And every once in a while, of course, they made like a handful of these. It all fizzled out.
How many did they make?
Honestly, I think it's like under 100.
Okay.
I think it's like between 1 and 300, maybe. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Not a lot. But it's kind of like if you took a Chevy Silverado, made it pretend that it was a Rivian for like a minute, and then folded the whole company. That's what the Lordstown Motors was. So they put a couple of these trucks out into the market, and I've never seen one for sale. Eric, have you seen one of these in the flesh, in real life?
No, okay. For sure not.
So they actually did make them, and the reason I know it's proof is on Facebook Marketplace, one of these popped up in my feed on the Obscure Cars for Sale version 3.0 because version 2.0 sucks. That's the name of the group. One of these popped up for sale, and it was a guy in Michigan that had a 2023 Lordstown Endurance. It says, here's the listing. This is a new truck in showroom condition. It has less than 300 miles on it. There are quad electric motors, 1 on each wheel, all-wheel drive, drivetrain, automatic, 440 horsepower. It comes with things like chargers, a full-size spare, full-size whatever. Like, a guy just goes down the laundry list of boring stuff. I am the original owner asking $32,000, and here's the kicker. Quote, I would like someone to buy this truck that is not going to drive it during the winter or down dirty and dusty roads. I believe this truck is something to cherish. And then he goes on to talk about the availability of parts and says, hey, basically, GM had a larger role in the production of these. They're actually 6-lug GM wheels. The brake pads are GM. The ball joints are all GM. Many parts are GM related. As far as mechanical parts, they're all available at local auto parts store. I hope this helps. It kind of does look like a Silverado with some stuff on it. Mm-hmm. And so maybe it was. It could be. GM maybe sold in the bodies and kind of help with some of the stuff. But the R&D and all the electronics and stuff in there, it looks proprietary. And it looks like it's working now. There's some shots of the interior, and it looks nice. It looks like any EV truck, right? But if you bought this for $32,000...
That's a lot of money.
It's half of what this sticker was, by the way.
Oh, well, that's good to know.
Yeah, the original sticker, and he has a copy of the window sticker.
Do I still get the EV rebate?
Yeah, right. The original sticker was $65,520 on this bad boy. And I do feel bad because, on paper, a couple years ago, was this a cool idea? Probably. But just like, what's the other one that folded? Fisker Oceans. Mm-hmm. What happens when the screen starts flickering or you have a little trouble?
Oh, you're doomed. Yeah.
There's nothing out there.
There's not even a Reddit thread that'll show you how to put an iPad on there.
At least the Fisker Oceans, like people that bought those, there's enough user groups, and there's a whole separate company that bought them and is going to maintain them for fleet use. So you have someone who can do the software and all that. Lordstown, you're out on your own. But you know what, Eric? I like to be out there without a safety net. And just for the fact that I would have a piece of Lordstown, Ohio history that is now defunct.
You can get a piece of steel from the factory for cheaper.
Get a brick from the ground.
Exactly.
I think that $32,000 for a piece of American history, I think that's worth it. And I would actually spend that if I had that cash.
Well, if you had the cash.
I would.
So let me ask you, Daryl, if you had $32,000 in the bank, you would run out and buy this, or would you have to have $1 million in the bank?
I'd probably have to have a little more. Yeah, just because if it does turn into a brick, then it's yard art. You know? But he does say, I don't want it going down dirty and dusty roads.
Oh, well, good for him.
Why would you say that in an ad? It just seems weird to me.
Well, it's like, when you have a dog or a cat and you put it on Facebook Marketplace, you don't want to go to don't go to a farm home. You want to go inside or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
I want to go to a good home.
Yeah, I love it that much. Well, there you go. That means he loves it. Maybe he worked there at the factory.
Maybe
he was a shareholder and lost a lot of money there, so he's very sensitive about it.
It's probably, I didn't look at whose listing it was. It might have been the CEO. It might be his personal ride. No, but interesting pop-up. I'd never seen one of these for sale or in real life, and it does exist. And
let me give you the odds on this, because Google AI gave me an answer when I asked how many Lordstown Endurances were made.
Okay.
And it said Lordstown Endurance electric pickup trucks were built before Lordstown Motors halted production and filed for bankruptcy. Specifically, 31 trucks were assembled, with 6 sold to customers and 15 used for various purposes like sales demonstrations before being sold. The company had initially planned to produce up to 500 vehicles, but production was significantly scaled back.
Oh, my gosh. 6 were sold to customers?
Yes.
This is, honestly, okay, not to be like the boomer at the car show, like, this is one of 5 ever built. It's one of 6 that actually got sold to consumers.
There were 31 that were assembled. I mean, assembled loosely, too. I mean, were they like hollow core vehicles just like shipped out to car shows?
Yeah, like auto show. Yeah, here you go. This is what it could look like.
Yeah, exactly.
Please invest. Yeah. Please invest. Please invest. I do feel real bad because it is,
do you feel $32,000 bad?
No, not.
Okay, all right, just checking.
Yes, I do. You know what? I'm going to commit to this.
All right.
You just made me commit to it.
Okay, well, it's this damn factory that you seem infatuated with. That's a problem.
I am. If I bought this, maybe they'll come back. Maybe
this would be the one. You drive around Peoria, and then Peoria can invest in Lordstown. Next thing you know, the Firefly Energy and the north side town will go like bankrupt again a second time.
It's just repeat bankruptcy again.
Yeah.
No, you know what I would do? I would buy one of those, and then I would just try to get a job at Rivian and park it on the Rivian lot.
That would be hilarious.
And just see if anybody notices.
That's ironic, yes. Yeah. Why do you work here? Because it's ironic.
A mysterious truck fire in the plant, in the parking lot. Anyways, weird picks, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I think we're both a little messed up.
Now we are. We've gone 2 hours. We knew we were going to do it. We didn't care. We did it for you, everybody.
It's like the Bryan Adams song. Everything we do.
He's coming on tour, too.
We do it for you.
Yeah. People still see him.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, would it be $750?
It'd be a lot cheap. I'll bet I could get for $37.50. I bet I get a good seat.
Why don't you do that instead?
But it'd be no David Byrne.
You've seen David.
You got to listen to the pre-show to get this one. Sorry.
Okay. I couldn't remember.
Yeah. I think it's pre-show. It sounds like pre-show material to me.
We'll figure it out. Yeah. It probably is. Anyways, if you are interested in being a Patreon sponsor, learn more at our website. We've got a link to our Patreon account. You do get cool things like weird pre-show material.
Yeah, I definitely got to get some more stuff out there for you. And if you want to subscribe to iTunes Premium, you can always listen to these pre-shows as well and hear all the fun stuff that happens for the hour before we actually do the regular show.
Or hit us up, info@throwinwrenches.com. Stay in touch that way. We're on Facebook and on YouTube, right?
Yeah, we're on YouTube at Throwin Wrenches. It's just Throwin Wrenches hashtag or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And Daryl is on Instagram and TikTok, the Tick of the Talk.
That's right.
Every time I get on TikTok, it's like, oh, Steve Brown has uploaded something. Oh, Throwin Wrenches has uploaded something. I don't upload anything on that thing.
You're just a lurker.
I don't know how to work it. There's
you know how to make
dude. There's
video.
like tools to make like cool videos and
CapCut.
I can't. Do you have an?
No, I don't pay for any software.
Okay, I was just going to ask you if you pay for anything.
No, I should.
All right, Steve Brown needs to tell us what app we need to get to like make good TikToks, right?
Yeah, because I can't do it on my phone. I have just thrown in the white towel and says I surrender. I don't know how people do half of this stuff on their phone.
Yeah,
I can't do it. I can't do it.
Now, if you want a cool follow, you get on Instagram and you follow Throwin Wrenches, which is not the show. It is Daryl Scott, because I don't know if you knew this or not, but Daryl Scott was Throwin Wrenches long before this show ever started. And if you want to follow me and see my vacation trips, because that's all I post.
You do. Trust me, you do.
It's at Planet Stahl, so there you go.
Or you can also follow Forts Toyota Pekin. There's some cool autocross videos.
That's true.
There's some cool. You're going through the 5-speed, 6-speed?
6-speed manual.
6-speed on the Tacoma X-Runner that you just heard Eric talk about in the SCCA autocross that he was just involved
Man,
with.
we got all kinds of socials. We got Forts Trail Team. We got, you name it.
We've got 31 flavors of automotive extravaganzas.
What level of car geek do you want to get to? Follow them all. Yeah,
that's good. Eric, hey, this was fun. I hope you and I can get out a little more this summer and we can do some cool car stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to head out to the Land Cruiser Museum here in another week, and maybe I'll give a full report on that in another 2 weeks or so.
Look forward to it.
All right, guys. Thanks again for following along. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.